rifles and belts, Gomer. No bunks.
That's right! Head! 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 Good. You move very good for a bunch of old ladies. After 10 weeks, after 10 long weeks. Don't you people know how to move on the double? Well, don't you?
Yes, sir!
Then why don't you, huh? Why don't you?
Excuse me, sir, but I was...
While you are a pea-brain knucklehead, on top of that, you're a late pea-brain knucklehead.
Just gonna say...
Don't talk.
Just said...
Don't talk!
Yes, sir. See, it was my belt. It got caught onto... Boom.
Don't move that mouth. I want no moving of that mouth. No sound coming from within it or without and or no combination of same. Or I will have you doing push-ups into the middle of next week. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. That's very clear. That's as clear as anything.
Cut! Inspection! Ha!
I just love this part.
This piece is filthy, you hear me, boy? Filthy, dirty, 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 dirty.
Yes, sir.
There is no place in the Marines for dirty people. You hear me? There is no place in the Marines for dirty people with dirty rifles. You are dirty people, and I don't like you. You hear me?
Yes, sir!
Do you like me?
Yes, sir!
Well, I don't like you. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Another dirty person. You have a dirty rifle, dirty person. You know that?
But, sir, I...
Get it clean.
Yes, sir.
Knock off that smile. Tighten up that face. I want to see them lips white. I want to see them tight. Get a mean look on your face, boy. Mean, mean. I don't like you, boy. You hear me? I don't like you. You like me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And, sir, I ain't just saying that neither. I really do.
Huh?
I really, truly like you.
You do not. You do not like me. Let you and me have a mutual admiration society. I don't like you, you don't like me.
Sir?
Knock it off. Now, you people, listen up. You are 1 week away from graduation. In 1 week, you are supposed to become basic Marines. And I am here to tell you that I do not think you are ready. And why? Because you are slow and you are dirty. Dirty and slow. Well, we have 1 week to fix all that. Every day between now and graduation, I'm going to stay on you people until you are squared away. Is that clear?
Yes, sir!
And why? Because you are...
Dirty, sir!
Dirty, dirty, dirty!
Dirty, 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 sir!
Remember that. Especially you.
Yes, sir. Sir, and I like you. I really do.
You people were supposed to know your general orders your first week in boot camp. Well, now it's 10 weeks later. And let's just see. Slater, what's your sixth general order?
Sir, my sixth general order is to receive, obey, and pass on to the center who relieves me all orders from the commanding officer, field officer of the day, and officers and non-commissioned officers of the guard only.
Lucky guess. Peters, number 8.
Sir, my eighth general order is to give the alarm in case of fire or disorder.
File number 11.
Sir, my 11th general order is to be especially watchful at night and during the hours for challenging, to challenge all persons on or near my post, and to let nobody pass without proper authority.
Wrong, wrong, wrong. All wrong. Not nobody. You said nobody. It's no one, no one. And to allow no one to pass. You got that, Pyle? To allow no one to pass. And you call yourself ready for graduation. Pyle, I don't like people who don't know their general orders. You hear?
Yes, sir. And I don't blame you, sir, but I like you.
means it. He likes me.
I still can't believe he really likes you.
He likes me.
That's too bad, Vince. Are you sure?
I'm sure. I rip him apart and he comes up smiling. The knucklehead likes me. A boot should hate his DI, isn't that right? He should despise him, isn't that right?
Oh, yeah. Hate and despise. Hate and despise.
I'll never forget my DI. Iron-faced Torkin. He was the meanest human being that ever lived. I hated him so much, I used to lie awake nights dreaming up ways to get even. I was gonna find a dishonored surgeon. You know, some doctor that had been disbarred for drinking? We'd chloroform Iron Face, and the doctor would sew up his mouth. Iron Face Torkin. He was mean and rotten and cruel, nothing but a dictator and a beast. He was the greatest DI that ever lived.
Maybe you're not on this boot enough, Carter.
I'll lean on him every chance I get.
Yeah, but you gotta pound on him 24 hours a day if you can. No let up. You know, I had a boot started out like that once. His father was a minister and he picked me to love. Well, I made him my house mouse. Made him keep my quarters spotless. Kept him under my heel every minute. I taught him. I cured him, but good. When he graduated, he was the perfect Marine. Hated my guts.
Here's an idea. Why don't I make Pyle my house mouse?
Sure.
I'll make Pyle hate me if it's the last thing I do. I'll teach that boot to fool around with tradition. Boy, wait till that poor boob finds out he's gonna be my house mouse.
Your house mouse? Gosh, sir, what a wonderful honor. I sure do appreciate it, sir.
It ain't an honor, you hear me?
Well, it may not be to you, but it is to me. It ain't every day a fella gets to help out another fella for which the first fella has so much admiration.
Well, maybe you won't like it so much when I tell you what you gotta do.
Oh, I'm sure I will, sir.
First, the deck.
First, the deck.
Never mind repeating.
Never mind repeating. No repeating, right, sir.
I want this deck scrubbed, bleached, and waxed.
Done and done, sir.
But I mean clean. If there's one spot, you're gonna have to do it all over again. You hear that? One spot, and you do it all over.
That's as it should be, sir. Perfect is as perfect does. One spot and do it all over again.
I said no repeating. Now my bunk. My bunk is to be changed. The blankets aired and the linens replaced. And if there is one wrinkle in one blanket or sheet, you're gonna have to do it all over again.
Oh, my, do you hate that, too? I just can't stand the wrinkle in my sheet. It's a throwback is what it is. When I was a boy, I had these sheets made out of flour sacks sewed together, and them seam ridges nearly drove me berserk, so I know what you mean.
Who told you you could gab on and on?
I wasn't repeating, sir. It was all new stuff.
I'll say it again. One wrinkle, and you do the whole bunk over. Now my shoes, cleaned and polished.
With the respect due a fine piece of leather, aye, sir.
And the windows. I want them to glisten.
So you can see from the outside in, the inside out, right?
Again, if there's one speck, one tiny little speck, you're gonna have to do it all over again. All over, you hear?
I hear.
And the ledges and the shelves. I want them dusted. And when I say dusted, I don't mean just run over quickly. I mean dusted. You know what's gonna happen if I find one speck of dust?
I'm gonna have to do it all over again. All over.
You aren't fooling me with that stupid act you're putting on. What I'm doing to you burns you up, doesn't it?
No, it don't, sir.
Oh, come on, Pyle, admit it. You don't like me. You think it's rotten of me to give you all this extra work.
No, I don't, sir. I like you. I like you very much.
You say you do, but you really don't, do you? You couldn't like me after all I'm doing to you.
You're wrong, sir. I do like you.
Why?
It's easy. Look at you. You're paying more attention to me than you are to anybody. Oh, I like you, sir, honest.
Get to work. Well, Pyle, you ready for inspection?
Your house is all mouth, sir.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Uh-huh. It's filthy.
Huh?
Look at that, you dirty person.
I don't hardly see a thing.
Filth! What's the matter with you, Pyle? Are you blind? You got poor eyesight?
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, the doctor that examined me said I had the sharpest pair of eyes he'd seen.
I want you to get that scrub brush and get busy.
I once hit a chicken hawk with a rock at 20 yards.
Pyle!
Nobody ever heard of it, though, because there weren't no witnesses.
Pyle!
Except in the hawk. He was so stunned, he didn't remember nothing.
Knock it off! You know something, Pyle?
Sir?
You're not only dirty, you are filthy.
Thank you, sir.
What are you thanking me for?
Well, it ain't every day you get a straightforward, honest opinion. Seems like every time I turn around, I'm thanking you for improving my lot. Sir, you're a friend to have for sure. I'll get started right away and do it all over again.
I'm losing it, Whip. You know that?
Come on.
That's true. I can't do anything wrong. He likes me. He likes me.
Well, now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you try humiliating Pyle in front of his peers?
His peers?
The other guys.
Their peers?
Yeah, it means, the other fellows in the platoon.
I never heard him called peers.
It's, fellas equals. Like I'm your peer.
Hey, that's great.
Believe me, Vince. Humiliate him in front of his own platoon. Especially if he doesn't deserve it.
His peers.
Right. And he'll come around. He'll hate your guts. One thing these boots can't stand is injustice.
I'm desperate. I'll try anything. I can't graduate a boot who likes me. And he likes me. The dirty peer.
Hey, your stuff looks great, kid. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Man, you sure can shine stuff. You really got the magic touch. Hut, hut!
Uh-huh. Good, good. Oh, that's very good. Very good. Uh-huh. You call yourself ready for graduation? You call yourself a basic Marine? 10 weeks ago, you came to me a lump, a plain nothing lump. I worked with you. I gave you special attention, and you know something? You're still a lump. This inspection is a disgrace. I ain't learned you a thing. You ain't fit to be in the same platoon with these other peers. You other peers, listen to this. This person is not fit to graduate. He is a sloppy peer. Do it right. Pick him up and do it right. You hate me for doing that, don't you? You just hate me? Tell the truth.
Oh, no, sir. It was nice of you to point out my failings to me. Only a friend would do that. Thank you, sir. I like you for that.
In all my years of being a psychiatrist, I never heard anything like this. Now, let me get this straight, Sergeant. You're upset because a boot likes you?
That's right, sir.
Well, this is something new. Most people have problems because they aren't loved.
Sir, if a DI ain't hated, he ain't a DI. That's what's got me so worried. This recruit likes me.
Tell me something about yourself, Sergeant.
Sir?
Well, I mean, what was your life like before you became a Marine? When you were a youngster, a little fellow?
Sir, I don't know what you...
I mean, what kind of an atmosphere was there?
Well, there was a lot of hollering.
Hollering?
I used to holler at my sister a lot. And my father used to holler at me for hollering at my sister. You might say I was brought up on hollering.
Well, what about your mother?
She'd holler at my father.
Well, how was she with you? Was she nice?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Was she affectionate?
Well, sure.
Did she have any pet names for you? Well, Sergeant, did she have a nickname for you? Well, did she?
Sir, I don't see what this has got to do with...
Sergeant, did your mother have a nickname for you?
Yes, sir.
Well, what was it? What was the name your mother used for you?
Num Num.
Num Num?
Yes, sir. It was a word I used for candy and gum. She used to call me that. Num Num.
Your father, too? Well, then, in spite of the hollering around the house, there was a more or less friendly atmosphere.
I guess.
Of course, this is just an off-the-cuff diagnosis. After all, you're not under treatment. I don't know you too well, but would you like to know what I think, just generally speaking?
Yes, sir.
Carter, underneath all that bluster, there is still the nice, friendly boy from a more or less nice, friendly atmosphere, and Gomer Pyle has gotten through. He has reached Num Num. You see, what you have in this Gomer Pyle is a childlike individual who can see through anger and ranting and raving. He will not be shaken by your attacks, because he knows that underneath it all, there is Num Num.
That's terrible.
Why?
Well, if he can do it, another recruit can do it, and I'm washed up as a DI. I can yell at him all day long, and behind my back they'll say, "There goes Num Num. Boy, do I like him. Hello, Num Num, sir."
I'll tell you what I would suggest. I'd put in for a transfer if I were you, Sergeant. Just give up drill instructing for a while. Go to another camp and just be a regular sergeant. Then, when you feel that your confidence has been restored, you can always come back to being a DI. You see, your facade of meanness has been penetrated, so to speak.
What's a facade?
Well, that's,
Anything like a pier?
Oh, no. Facade is just a disguise. As you put in for that transfer, I'll endorse it, and you should have no trouble.
Yes, sir. It's a terrible thing to be loved.
Hold still, Gomer.
Graduation. Shazam.
There you go.
Boy, it sure happened fast, didn't it, fellers?
Yeah, it only seemed like a century.
Hey, I got a great idea, fellers. Let's make a pact right now that we meet right here at this camp 10 years from today and have a reunion with a cake and everything. How about that?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Where'll we meet? Hey, what about the cigar store across from the main gate?
Hey, that's a great idea, but what time?
How about 10 years from this Friday, 8 o'clock?
Then it's a day. Boys, it's gonna be nice so we won't lose touch with one another. I'll get my hat and go tell Sergeant Carter.
Whoa, back up, buddy. Who needs him?
You mean you don't want Sergeant Carter there? The man that practically raised us all together? You don't want to see him again?
Oh, we don't mind seeing him again, Gomer. It's just that 10 years is a little soon. Now, 30 or 40 years, okay.
Platoon 317, dismissed.
Aye, sir! Platoon 318, dismissed! Aye, sir! Hey, we went for so long. I'm gonna miss you almost as much as I'm gonna miss Gomer Pyle.
Well, it won't be the same without you around here, Vince. It's gonna be nice and quiet.
Take it easy, kid.
Be a good boy.
Hey, Sergeant Carter, sir.
Huh?
I looked for you right after graduation. Where'd you disappear to?
Well, I got a lot of packing to do.
Sir, we won't be seeing each other anymore after today. And I was just wondering when and where we could get together again.
Well, that's hard to say. You see, Pyle, I put in for a transfer.
You did.
Yeah, so I can't tell you when or where we could get together again.
Shoot, just tell me where you're gonna be and I'll look for you.
No, Pyle, you don't understand. You're going to Parris Island for your infantry training. That's in South Carolina. And I'm going to Camp Henderson. That's in California. We'll be thousands of miles apart.
Heck, it's a shame we both can't go to the same camp.
Yeah, it's a real shame. That's a long time.
Hey, Sergeant, let's write to each other here.
Yeah, we'll write. Goodbye.
Hey, I did want to tell you about the reunion our platoon's going to have 10 years from now.
Oh, yeah? Good. Well, goodbye, Pyle.
It won't be a reunion if you ain't there. So remember, it's 10 years from this Friday in the cigar store opposite the main gate.
The cigar store. I'll remember. Goodbye, Pyle.
Sir, it's 10 years from this Friday at 8 o'clock.
Sergeant, your men have just arrived.
Yeah? What do they look like?
Nah.
Well, they can't be any worse than the bunch of meatheads I had in boot camp. One in particular. Come on, let's take a look.
Fall in!
All right. You men are no longer boots. You are now basic Marines. You will now begin your advanced infantry training. I will be your troop leader. My name is Sergeant Carter. Now the first...
Hey, Sergeant, sir. Surprise!
Kyle, what are you? What are all of these men doing?
Surprise!
What?
Well, here's what happened. You know, you said that they was going to send us all to Paris Island? Well, they didn't do no such thing. At the last minute, they changed their minds, and they sent us here to Camp Henderson, where you said you was going to be sent. I didn't want to tell you on account I didn't want to spoil the surprise. And I sure am glad I didn't, because it is a surprise, ain't it, Sergeant? You sure look surprised.
All right, you men. You were sent here, and I was sent here. Okay. I'm going to work you and work you. You think it's going to be easy just because you're out of boot camp? Well, it ain't. And, Pyle, I don't know what you think you see when you look real close, but I will tell you, I am still a sergeant, hard and tough. It ain't just a facade. It ain't a facade. You think it's a facade? No, it's me, through and through. Is that clear? Is that very clear?
Yes, sir. Sir?
Huh?
Are you going to ask me what you always did at boot camp?
What?
You know, about do I like you? Because the answer's yes. I really do. I like you very much. I really...
All right. Spread out. Move around here. Now, this morning's field exercise, individual scouting. Remember, good scout knows cover, concealment, camouflage, and principles of movement. He also knows... Where's the phone? Pyle! What took you so long?
Well, sir...
I was just telling these men the things that make a good scout, and pokiness ain't one of them.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the things that do make a good scout?
Yes, sir. A good scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, cheerful, obedient, and thrifty.
Pyle!
A Boy Scout is also brave, clean, and reverent, and a salute like this with 3 fingers.
Are you kidding me? Are you putting me on?
Oh, no, sir. I was in Troop 437, Mayberry Branch.
I wasn't talking about Boy Scouts. I'm talking about scouting, Marine scouting.
Now, that's a different thing entirely.
Oh, it is?
Yes, sir. Scouting and patrolling, Chapter 16 of the Marine Guidebook. That's the part where you're supposed to know about cover, concealment, and camouflage, and the principle of movement. Now, that's an altogether different thing from Boy Scouting. You see, a Boy Scout is trustworthy, loyal...
Knock it off!
Must be for you, Sergeant. Ain't a soul one knows I'm out here. Hello? This here's Gomer Pyle talking. You want to talk to the sergeant? He's standing right here at the side of me.
Alpha checkpoint, Sergeant Carter. Yes, sir. We're just about to begin. Sir? That was just one of the men who... Yes, sir. I'll tell him.
And there's a string of telephone poles along there from D12 to F9.
Uh-huh. Any military vehicles?
No, no vehicle, sir.
Okay. Where's Pyle now? Everybody else is here.
Sir?
Huh?
Good afternoon, sir. How's your scouting exercise going, Sergeant?
Very good, sir. All checked out except one man. He should be back.
It's me, Gomer. I'm back. I'll be down there in a minute. I'll be right there. Did you know it was me with all this plant life on my helmet? Found these buttercups and daisies up there while I was looking for some camouflage branches. I picked them for your desk. Thought they'd look real pretty. Things look so drab in that office. Let's see if you like your butter.
Drop 'em, drop 'em.
Was this one of the men on the scouting exercise?
Yes, sir. He was just reporting in. Weren't you, Pyle?
Yes, sir.
Well, report in.
Well, sir, there's a right nice stretch of land over yonder. Alfalfa's coming up there. Melons would grow real good there, though. Soil's kind of sandy. It's not too salty. I tasted it. And there's a whole string of bushes along the path from F2 to H4. But they're just awful bushes. They're just full of stickers. And there was a telephone pole by the side of the highway with a poster tacked up. It said, Mayfair Theater, tonight, Ma and Pa Kettle in Hawaii, selected short subjects, and Thursday night's family night.
Sergeant, can I have a word with you, please? Sergeant, that is the poorest excuse for a scout I've seen yet.
Yes, sir.
I would suggest a little more lecture time on scouting and patrolling. Maybe you could use a little yourself.
Yes, sir.
Carry on.
All right, you people. I was going to give you all liberty tonight, provided nobody fouled up on this exercise. Well, one man fouled up, so the liberty is canceled.
It's terrible, sir. Not to embarrass the man, but who was it?
You, Pyle, the man was you.
Me, sir?
You. Pyle, you violated all the principle of movement on your scouting mission. You were strolling around picking daisies and looking at movie posters. You blew it.
But, sir,
You blew it, Pyle. You blew it for everybody.
I just feel terrible, sir. Do all the men have to suffer on account of me?
That's right. That was the deal. One foul up and the liberty was off. And what did you do?
I blew it, sir.
Right. All right, everybody, fall in. Daisies he picks for me, daisies.
Where do they find them?
I had to cancel liberty for the whole platoon. You know what he needs? A good rap on the head. Something that might jar something loose upstairs.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Everything all right, fellas?
Great.
Oh, hi, Hannah.
How are you? Ow, Hannah, it hurts.
With the company rules, you can look, but don't touch.
I'm sorry, I lost my head.
Oh, kills me the way she does that, you know?
How'd you like to be married to that?
Oh, the dragon lady? I don't think so.
Better not let her hear you call her that. She'll kill you.
And she can do it, too, Benson. I think she could take you.
Not if I train for a couple of months.
No, will you just let up?
You must be new around here.
Maybe he's gonna learn real fast.
Let's go. You want a rematch?
Ouch.
No, why couldn't that have been Pyle, huh? Flying through the air like that.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
Why can't it be Pyle?
What are you talking about?
We'll set him up against Hannah. Oh, how I'd love to see that.
How you gonna set him up?
Don't worry about it. I'll set him up. I'll fix it. I'll fix it real good.
How come we got our liberty back, huh?
You know what I think? I'll tell you what I think. I think the sergeant's just being nice to us is what I think. He never does stay mad at us long. You know what else I think? I'll tell you what I think. I think we ought to go and tell him how nice it is of him.
No, Gomer. You fouled us up yesterday and made us lose the liberty. We got it back by a miracle, and we ain't gonna let you foul us up again.
Well, I sure am sorry about yesterday. Honest, I am.
Look, in 30 minutes, we'll be on that bus into town. Do you think you can stay out of trouble just that long?
Well, I sure don't mean to get in no trouble.
Good. Don't do anything. Don't say anything.
If you say so, Duke.
Hut! As you were. All right, two things. First, transportation will leave the main gate at 17:30.
Hey, great.
And second, since this is your first liberty in town, we've got to observe a certain tradition. Every man will put his ID card in this hat, and the name I draw will represent this particular company.
What's it all about, Sarge? What's the tradition?
We have this tradition that one man from each company collects his first liberty kiss from Miss Hannah Troy.
Who's she?
She runs a tavern in town. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on, come on, come on. Pile.
I think I'll pass up the drawing, Sergeant.
What?
Let somebody else have my chance.
But you can't. I mean, it's got to be representative.
But...
Pyle, it's tradition. You going against tradition?
Well...
Of course not. There's nothing more sacred in the Marines than tradition. Good. Now everybody's in. Now for the drawing. For the tradition. All right, give me some room. The winner is Gomer Pyle. And what do you think of that? And you were the one that weren't even interested. Congratulations, Pyle. Now, here's the way the tradition of the first liberty kiss works.
Sergeant...
You just go up to her and you say, Dragon Lady, I'm here for my first liberty kiss.
But, sir...
It'll be a moment you will never forget. All right, Pyle. Now, I'll see you tonight at Hannah's Bar and Grill. That's on Exchange Street. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you be there.
But, sir...
You lucky stiff. Free kiss.
I just can't do it.
What?
I just can't do it. I just couldn't up and kiss some strange girl. Why, we ain't done no stepping out or courting.
This is different, Gomer. It's just a kiss.
But I don't even know her folks or nothing.
I have to kiss her folks, just her.
I just couldn't. Why, back home, we go calling for a whole summer before we even get to biting on the same apple together. Besides, I did make other plans. Ever since I seen that movie poster on the telephone pole, I've been looking forward to going to the picture show to see Ma and Pa Kettle in How Are You?
You've been stuck in training for months. This is your first trip to town, and you want to see Ma and Pa Kettle?
Right.
What's the matter with you, Gomer? You got something against kissing?
Oh, no. I like kissing. Kissing can be fun. But back home, I went with Ida Carrington for 11 months before I kissed her. Then it took 2 hours of coaxing.
Oh, boy.
I only did it to stop her coaxing. I'm sorry. I just don't like strangers kissing. That's why I never did like New Year's Eve. Come 12 o'clock and smacko. Everybody's kissing everybody else, and the next day everybody wakes up with a cold to start out the new year.
You mind if I take your place?
What?
Well, you were the one that was picked for the kiss. Why can't I tell this chick I'm the one that was picked?
That ain't truthful, Duke.
Suppose I tell her I'm your proxy.
You're my what?
Your proxy. You appointed me to collect for you because you couldn't make it.
That's a proxy?
Yeah, how about it?
Well, if you want to.
Oh, I want to.
Okay.
Good.
You're gonna be my what?
I'm gonna be your proxy.
Gosh, you know something? I never had a proxy before. Shoot, I never even had a godfather.
When's he coming?
Oh, any minute. This is gonna be beautiful. Beautiful.
That must be her, fellas. She likes like the boss lady. Gomer don't know when he passed out.
Hey, Vince. Isn't that one of your people over there?
Don't wait up for me tonight, kid. What's happened, sweetness?
What does that idiot think he's doing? He'll ruin everything.
So you're the famous dragon lady, huh? Well, I'm the famous Duke Slater, baby, Company B. They call me
LB for short. Lover boy. Old LB's here to collect his first liberty kiss. So now that the introductions are out of the way, let's go to the moon, baby.
No, thank you.
Let's go.
Oh, dear.
Why does she always throw them toward us?
Now, we ought to talk to her. This is like drinking beer at the wrong end of a bowling alley.
What'd I do?
You have just been formally introduced to the Dragon Lady. What do you think you're doing? Where's Gomer?
Gomer let me take his place.
He what?
Well, he didn't want to come, so he let me be his proxy.
His proxy? Oh, you fixed it. You fixed it real good.
Huh?
That was supposed to be him stretched out there, Pally.
You mean it was a phony? It was all a setup?
Yeah. I wanted to see Gomer go flying through the air, not you. Are you happy now?
I'm sorry, Sarge.
Oh,
I thought...
sorry ain't enough. Now, you go get Gomer in here.
Huh?
That's right. You took all my fun away. Go get him.
Go get him?
Yeah. Look, don't you want to see Gomer go flying through the air? You're entitled now.
Through the... Oh, yeah. Yeah, good idea, Sarge.
Go.
I'll go get him, Sarge.
Go.
Now, come on. I'm gonna get Gomer.
Second floor show coming up.
Are you sure he went to the movies? Probably stayed to see it twice. Here he is. Okay, just follow my lead.
Hey, Duke. Hey, fellas.
Hey, Gomer. Hi, Gomer.
Are you going to the picture show? It's a real good one. I'll go see it with you again if you'd like. I've seen it twice already, but I'll go again.
No, I couldn't, Gomer. Not tonight. I'm just not in the mood for a picture.
But this will cheer you up. It's a real funny picture. There's one place in the picture where Ma and Pa Kettle are rocking on the front porch. Well, Pa Kettle, he don't notice this loose board.
You're probably wondering why I don't feel in the mood, Gomer, so I'll tell you. It's the sergeant. He's hurt. Very hurt.
Was there an accident?
He's hurt inside. Because tonight a Marine Corps tradition was broken. And his company wasn't represented when the first Liberty Kisses were passed out.
He really feels bad, huh?
Very bad. Because you didn't show up.
But wasn't you gonna take my place, Duke? Wasn't you gonna be my, what do you call it?
Proxy?
Yeah, proxy.
Yeah, that's what made it worse. It absolutely has to be the man chosen from the hat.
The lady wouldn't kiss proxy?
Absolutely not. For years, this tradition has been faithfully observed. An unbroken chain until tonight. And that's why he's so sad. No tradition means a lot to Sergeant Carter, Gomer.
Well, it does to me, too, honest, fellers.
I wouldn't be surprised if he even transferred out over the shame of it, huh, fellas? Yeah.
You might.
Gosh, I didn't realize it was this big a tradition.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's like West Point, Gomer. You know, the flirtation walk. Why, it's even bigger than the Semper Fidelis March.
No fooling.
No fooling.
But still, to kiss a strange woman.
Well, least you can do is come talk to the sergeant, tell him why you can't do it.
Well, I guess I do owe him that much. It's bigger than Semper Fidelis. You really mean it.
It's getting late. Think your Gomer Pyle guy's gonna show up?
Oh, no. Hey, isn't that your pigeon coming in now?
He got it. Good old Duke. He's made an old man very happy.
Hey, Sergeant. I'm sorry about things, sir. I honest never want you to go into your shell, not for a minute.
Huh?
We told Gomer you felt real bad about the tradition being broken, Sarge, and you might even transfer out. You know, because your company didn't come up with a man for First Liberty Kiss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it could have been worse. So I'll just transfer out. Maybe even leave the Corps. So what if I put in 18 years of my life, through thick and thin, through war and peace? So what? I'll leave.
You just can't leave the Marine Corps, sir. You just can't.
Better than have it said that I was the one who broke tradition. No. It's a far, far better thing I do. I'll cut out.
I never heard anything more beautiful than all my put-togethers.
I guess you don't know me very well. Call me an old sentimentalist if you like, but, well, I'm a fool about tradition. And when a tradition is broken, I just, well, Call me a fool.
Why, I never would.
A fool. And the only honorable thing for this fool to do is to transfer out.
Don't say that, Sergeant. I'll do it.
What?
I'll collect that there First Liberty kiss.
Well, look, Pyle, I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do. Even though you were chosen fair and square, you still don't have to do this if you don't want to.
I don't? Well, in that case...
No, I'll just transfer out. Call me a fool.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Where is she?
A sentimental fool. Call me a sentimental fool.
You'll do it.
You will?
Yes, sir. Where's she at?
Over there. It'll be over before you know it, I can promise you that.
Remember, Gomer, it's a tradition.
Right. What I do now?
You just go up to her and you say, Dragon Lady, I'm here for my First Liberty kiss. And go.
Hey, ma'am.
Hello.
First off, I don't much care for the name Dragon Lady, so I won't call you that. And second, it ain't nothing personal against you, ma'am. It's just that my upbringing's against kissing strangers, but it's got to be done on account of the sergeant over there did spend 18 years in war and peace and through thick and thin. And if he's a fool about tradition, then I ain't gonna stand in his way.
Joe, what have you been giving him?
And most of all, since it is a glorious tradition bigger than Semper Fidelis, it ain't fitting that one little old person like me stands up against it. The only thing I ask, ma'am, is could the kiss be along the jawbone here? And that'd make it friendly and all without getting too involved and be enough to satisfy the sergeant over there.
Wait a minute. Now, let me get this straight. You want a kiss. But not for you. But for your sergeant. Uh-huh. Come with me.
They're going into the back room. I won't see him flying through the air.
She's never done that before.
Maybe she's gonna throw him through the door.
Yeah. That'll be just as good.
See, I never had no choice. It was my name that come out of the hat, so here I am.
But you went to the movies rather than come here and kiss me, hmm?
Well, you see, it was Ma and Pa Kettle, and they're my favorites.
Oh, well, I guess I'm no match for Ma and Pa Kettle.
Oh, no, ma'am, don't get me wrong. Most fellers would fall all over themselves for a chance to kiss a pretty girl like you. But, well, you see, that's just the way I was brought up, and I can't change.
I hope you never do.
Awful quiet in there.
Yeah, well, maybe she's toying with him, you know, like a cat with a mouse.
Yeah.
There they are. Huh? They're still in one piece.
Over here. Come on. Here. There we are. Now, put your hand up here, Gomer. That's right.
Here it comes.
Both arms around me. That's it. Now close your eyes. Oh, come on, Gomer. It's the tradition.
Well, I done it, Sergeant. Was it all right?
Huh? That's fine, just fine.
Gomer, what'd you tell her?
Oh, just about traditions. you know about how I was there to collect my first Liberty kiss? I explained the whole thing to her. She likes it. She really does.
How about that? That's it. That's her weakness. Traditions. She goes for it. She must go for it. What do you know? You like that tradition, huh, Hannah?
Oh, it's sweet.
You know whose idea that was?
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm just a sentimental fool, Hannah.
Oh.
Look, if you like that tradition, I got another one.
Yeah?
Uh-huh. On the first Liberty night, the sergeant gets some loving, too. After all, I've been around a lot longer than that private. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm? What happened?
You've done it all wrong, Sergeant. You're supposed to put both arms around her. That's the tradition, and you gotta go by the tradition. And you didn't keep your eyes closed the whole time, neither. That's another part of the tradition. If you put both arms around her and kept your eyes closed, she'd kiss you real good. But you didn't do that. See what you done.
Oh, come on now. Tell us everything right from the beginning.
You really want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Well, right at the beginning, Ma and Pa Kettle was rocking on the front porch. Well, Pa Kettle didn't take no notice that this loose board that was there. But about that time, he rocked some, and that board flew.
However, after you filtered it with a piece of cloth and boiled it, it would be safe for drinking. Now then, the reason for this particular briefing is because of the special operation this platoon has been chosen for. It's a survival test, and it's just what the name implies. It's a rigorous, challenging test to survive under the most adverse and primitive conditions.
Sounds like fun.
We feel this is an essential part of your training. It's not uncommon for a group to find itself in the wilderness with inadequate equipment and no food. Under those conditions, you have one main function: to survive, to live off the land. In the test, this platoon will be abandoned in a totally uninhabited area for a period of 5 days. You will operate in teams of 2. How well each team comes out of the test will depend on their own resourcefulness. Any questions?
Sir, is that the only kind of food we can expect to find, roots and berries?
Correct. Berries, edible roots, the bark of some trees, certainly enough to sustain. However, I must point out, you'll probably all come back 5 or 6 pounds thinner. That's to be expected.
I always lose it in my face first.
Do you have a question, Private?
No, sir. I was just saying I always lose it in my face first. My cheeks get all haller. It's nothing to worry about. I never feel as bad as I look.
We'll bear that in mind. Now, during the coming week, your troop leader will put you through a training program to prepare you for this test. You will receive instructions in mapping, foraging, all phases of survival. Carry on. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Corporal.
All right, Corporal, these are the teams. Slater was all right on first aid. He can go with Peters. He can take care of the mapping. Burnside. Sailing, wasn't it? Well, he can team up with Fletcher. He'll handle the foraging. Pyle. Let's see, what was he good at, huh? Pyle, I better go with you.
He picked me over everybody.
Lucky you.
You know, him and me just hit it off good right from the start. Just one of them lucky things, I guess, to find a buddy like that. Somebody to watch over you and to look after you and to keep an eye on you.
Pyle, you're at attention. Keep that mouth shut.
See?
All right, first team out.
You guys have a lot of fun down there. Here.
Watch the snake in the ground.
Okay, Pyle. All right, Charlie.
Do you want me to get out my compass now, Sergeant?
No, Pyle, don't you do anything.
But I can read my compass real good now.
Fine. Just do as I tell you and life will be beautiful.
Yes, sir. This is really gonna be fun out here, just you and me.
This might be all right.
This sure is pretty. Reminds me of a spot in the hills back home where we buried Grandpa Stokes. Peaceful and shady.
We'll make it here.
Grandpa Stokes would like it here, too.
Set up the tent right over here next to this tree.
That's how we buried Grandpa Stokes, right near a tree.
I'll go out and do some foraging, and you set up the camp.
Maybe if I was to forage some, too, sir.
You set up the camp.
But, sir, I was thinking...
Pyle. Sit down, Pyle. Pyle, we're gonna be cooped up out here for 5 days. 5 long days. Just you and me, nobody else. Now, we don't want to get on each other's nerves, do we?
Oh, no, sir. And you ain't got a thing to worry about neither, sir. 'Cause not one time have you ever got on my nerves, not one.
That's real good news.
I've enjoyed serving under you, sir.
Good. You'll fix up the camp, huh?
Yes, sir. And I'll fix it up just as nice as I can.
Good.
And, sir, it won't look nothing like a burying place like where we buried Grandpa Stokes. No, sir.
All right.
I thought it'd make you look kind of homey.
Pyle, in case it hasn't been made clear to you, this is a military operation. We're not setting up housekeeping.
No, Sergeant, but I
Pyle,
just thought...
suppose we were suddenly surrounded by the enemy and they started shooting at us.
Gosh.
You'd be caught with a helmet full of snapdragons.
Black-eyed Susan, you see the petals is a little smaller.
Get rid of them.
It's a different fragrance entirely.
I said get rid of them.
Yes, sir.
There must be some underground streams around here someplace.
What if we don't find any? We're down to a half canteen.
We'll find one. It's just a matter of looking.
Instead of looking together, maybe if I was to go off by myself...
Not again, Pyle.
Double our chances.
Look, Pyle, this kind of thing takes experience. Now, I've been through it. It's not just the soggy ground, the way the plants look. You've almost got to be able to smell the water and the air. Believe me, you wouldn't find it. You don't have that experience.
I could try that smelling, too.
Okay. Keep your eyes open for some more berries.
More berries? 5 days of berries, it looks like.
Nobody said this was gonna be a party. Are you complaining?
No, Sergeant.
Pyle, maybe I better tell you the facts of life about this project just in case you don't remember. We're gonna be out here for 5 days. We're gonna have to find our own food and water. There are gonna be times when we are hungry, thirsty, and tired. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be hard. We're gonna have to suffer a little. But it has to be that way. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Good.
And I can't think of nobody I'd rather be with during trying times like that. Thank you, Sergeant. Hey, Sergeant. Looks like we both took the same direction.
Yeah? I found some.
Boy, I sure gotta hand it to you, sir. I couldn't find no underground streams no place.
You just wouldn't believe me, huh?
I kept looking at the ground and smelling. Must be an act like you said.
There we are. Strain it and boil it. We're all set. We can fill a canteen every day. Easy.
Well, we don't really have to go to all that trouble.
No. We could just call room service and ask them to send up a pitcher of ice water. Or we could call one of them bottled water companies and ask them for home delivery. But since we can't do that, we'll...
That's what I was trying to tell you, Sergeant. I couldn't find one of them underground streams no place. So I done the next best thing. I found one of them overground streams. You don't have to boil mine or nothing.
I know.
That there overground stream, I bet there's some fish in it.
Maybe.
Trout most likely.
It could be smoked salmon, but without a hook and a line, they got nothing to worry about.
Yes, sir. Raspberries don't stay with you very long, do they? Sort of like what folks say about that there Chinese food.
Are you complaining?
No, Sergeant, no, sir. It's just that I don't seem to have as much get up and go as I done yesterday.
And it's gonna be worse tomorrow, and worse the next day, and worse the day after that. Get used to it, buddy. We're on raspberries from here on out.
Yes, sir. Still, I sure wouldn't mind having one of them there Chinese dinners right now. Some of that egg foo young and chow mein. Bet that'd stick to your ribs better than raspberries.
Pyle, stop thinking about other kinds of food. It only makes it worse.
I wasn't thinking about other kinds of food, only Chinese. I wasn't even thinking about baked ham or chicken or sweet potatoes or cornbread or...
Pyle, eat your raspberries. The main thing is to save your strength. Rest whenever you can.
Yes, sir. I bet they'd run around 10 inches. Trout, that is. Rainbow, most probably. I've been thinking I might go back there and try to scoop some out of the water with my hands or my helmet or something.
Pyle, when you're on short rations, you gotta save your energy. It don't make sense to hike all the way back to that creek and then strike out. So let's drop it, huh?
But if I was to...
Drop it! Drop it!
Yes, sir. I might have been a little hasty in my judgment. They could run 12 inches easy. I just want you to have the facts straight, sir.
I don't want to hear one more word. Not one more word. Do you hear?
I'm sorry.
Not one more word! Huh? Well?
You sure were right about that scooping, Sergeant. I must have tried for an hour, and I didn't catch a thing.
I knew you wouldn't. You know, it's funny how the mind works. We were talking about this before. But when I was waking up just now, I could have sworn I smelled fish. It's funny how the mind works. It's what you call the power of suggestion. What's that?
I sharpened my key ring on a rock, and it worked just fine.
You caught those?
Yes, Sergeant.
With the...
Yeah.
Well, are they done yet?
Pretty near.
Good, let's have them.
Well, you know something, Sergeant? I couldn't decide where to pan fry them in their own oil or to fillet them and broil them on a stick over a low fire.
Let's have them.
Or I could have rigged up some kind of cover and steam baked them.
Let's have them.
Or they're...
Pyle, let's have them, let's have them.
Yes, sir.
Another mile, we ought to reach the given point.
Not a sign of a berry or nothing. It's too bad we had to leave that stream back there. There's fish in there just begging to be caught.
Chew on your bark. It ought to hold you for a while.
You sure this is the right kind? Seems like I've carved my initials on more nourishing stuff than this.
At the moment, it's all we got. Eat your bark.
It'd be funny if we really got to like it. Might turn into half man, half termite.
Hey!
Hey, Sergeant. Did you find something?
Plant roots. I told you I'd find something, didn't I?
What do they taste like?
They taste like plant roots. What'd you expect? What's that for?
To put on the fire?
You don't cook plant roots, you eat them raw.
Sergeant?
Yeah?
I got to thinking back there. There might be some rabbits here in this wood, so I made me a trap to try to snare one.
Pyle, don't tell me. You caught 7 rabbits. They all weigh 10 pounds, and each has a head of lettuce in his mouth so we can have our salad.
Oh, no, Sergeant.
Pyle, there are no rabbits in these woods.
You're right, there sure aren't. I wasted my time even thinking about it.
You should have asked me first.
Yes, sir. I didn't catch no rabbits.
I knew you wouldn't.
But I did catch wild pheasant. Look good? Hey, we can have your plant roots on the side. Do you know, like greens? My mama said you always ought to have greens with your meal. Lucky thing you found them. Hey, Sergeant, do you want a cigar? Those are homemade cigars, made right here in these woods. I found some tobacco down the road there ways, and I picked us a whole supply. Want to know how I made it?
No.
$157. It's the usual. They all seem to lose about 5 pounds. $174. Try again. He was 169.
Right here's where it all is, sir.
Wait over there a moment.
Yes,
Sergeant. $167.
That's a gain of 6 pounds.
Really, sir?
You men were a team, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Did you take rations with you?
No, sir.
You sure?
We took no rations, positively.
You left the designated area. You bought food, didn't you?
No, sir.
All right, I'll stop guessing. And you tell me how you go out on a survival test and gain 6 pounds.
Well, for one thing, I found a lot of berries. Lots of berries.
and on the second day, I come across this trout stream.
But you didn't have any equipment.
Well, sir, I tried scooping them out with my hands, but like the sergeant said, that wasn't no good. So here's what I done.
I also discovered some edible roots.
I cut off this branch, and I got one of my shoestrings, and I tied on the end of it, and for a hook, I sharpened off my key ring, and I attached that. A few hours later, there was this wild pheasant sitting in there in that snare just as pretty as you please.
Well, I must say you certainly were resourceful. That's amazing, absolutely amazing.
I also discovered some bark.
No wonder you picked Pyle to be your teammate. Pretty sly.
Yes, sir. And then I found some plant roots.
We work real good as a team together.
Pyle, I want you to put this all down in detail.
Yes, sir. Hey, you want a cigar? I made it myself. Want to know how I made it? I was walking along and I found this tobacco. Picked up a whole good supply. Hey, Sergeant. I just can't figure it out. That's the way he's been to me ever since we come back.
So?
You know something? I don't think he likes me no more.
Did he ever?
Well, sure. Used to when he was always yelling at me. I knew he was good friends. But he ain't yelled at me in 2 days. He don't like me no more.
You want to know why he doesn't like you anymore?
Yeah. Why?
You hurt his pride.
What?
That's right. On the survival test. Don't you know why he took you along with him?
'Cause we was always hitting it off so good, I thought.
No, Gomer, that's not the reason. He went along with you to protect you, to make sure you got through it okay.
He did?
Yeah. And then what happens? You go out there and you're like another Daniel Boone. You get all the praise and everything. Captain makes a big deal over you. Well, it hurt the sergeant's pride, Gomer.
Shazam. I sure didn't mean to do nothing like that.
Come in.
Sergeant?
Yeah?
I was just over to see Captain Hathaway.
Yeah, what for?
Well, sir, to talk about that there survival test we was both on.
Yeah? Wanted some more compliments, get a few more pats on the back, make sure you get all the credit. Is that it?
Oh, no, sir. I went to tell the captain the truth.
The truth?
Yes, sir. What I done in the woods back there catching the fish and the pheasant and all, shoot, there wasn't nothing to that. Back home, any 10-year-old young could have done the same thing. We was practically brought up in the woods. But it was you, Sergeant, that really got us through the thing.
Huh?
All that mapping and compass work and arriving where we was supposed to, I couldn't have done that for the life of me. I remember a couple of times there that I'd have gone off in an altogether different direction. I'd have got lost shore as the dickens. I didn't know where I was going.
You told all this to the captain?
Yes, sir. I told him I'd still been out there if it hadn't been for you.
Well, you don't have any scouting experiences. Why?
Well, you're right, sir, but what I'm trying to say is, Sergeant, that I just couldn't have gotten through the thing if it hadn't been for you. The captain really appreciated hearing that.
He did, huh? Okay, Pyle, you better get back to your quarters.
Yes, sir. And if we go on one of them survival tests again, I want to go with you.
Yeah, all right, Pyle.
'Cause you really know your way around.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. You're the one I want to buddy up with.
All right, Pyle.
On account of you know how to get there and back.
Fine. I think you better be getting...
I'd still been lost out there if it hadn't been for you.
Pyle, don't you have anything better to do than to stand around here running off the mouth? Get out of here, move! Move! Get out! Don't you people have anything to do around here?
Hey, Howard. He likes me again. He really likes me.
Great. Swell. Good.
reporting is ordered. Here are your supply reports.
Oh, thank you, Pyle.
Are you rolling yourself a cigar, Sergeant?
Yeah.
Well, if I may suggest, sir, what you do is you start with the point at the end when you go to put on the outside lead.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir. And be sure you start her slanty enough so she'll point out proper at the end. And then you tuck it like so, and it comes out like this. See?
Yeah.
I declare, Sergeant, you make them better than I do. You really roll them good. Yes, sir.
Yes. Princess Siri, watching from a balcony, threw a single jasmine flower to Parker. It was a parting gift, a promise that their paths would cross again when the world was no longer at war. Chapter 8. The Laughter of the Damned. A few weeks after the Sultan's departure, a new crisis hit Taratupa. Ensign Parker was facing a fitness board. Binghamton was determined to have him railroaded out of the Navy once and for all. Citing general incompetence and excessive wearing of dresses, McHale knew he needed to get Binghamton in a good mood, an impossible task. Unless, laughing gas, McHale suggested to his crew. Compliments of the base dentist. If we can get Binghamton to inhale a little nitrous oxide, he'll be so happy he'd promote a palm tree. The crew rigged a tank of the gas to the air vent of Binghamton's office. As the board began, Binghamton started to giggle. Then, he started to roar with laughter. "Parker!" Binghamton gasped, tears streaming down his face. "You torpedoed a garbage scow because you thought it was a sub camouflaged with potato peels? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Give this man a medal." The fitness board was baffled. The admiral, seeing Binghamton's hysterical state, assumed the captain was the one who had lost his mind. "Captain, you are clearly suffering from combat fatigue," the admiral declared. "We are cancelling the hearing. Parker stays. You, Binghamton, need a long rest." For a few glorious days, Binghamton was the laughing cavalier of the base, until the gas wore off and his sour disposition returned with a vengeance. But the victory had been won. Parker was safe, and the legend of McHale's happy juice became part of Taratupa lore. Chapter 9. The Payroll Peril. The peace of Taratupa was shattered once more when a transport plane was grounded in New Caledonia. On board was the base payroll, $62,000 in small, unmarked bills. It was a fortune in the middle of a war zone. Binghamton, seeing one last chance to trap McHale, ordered the 73 to pick up the money. He hoped that the temptation would be too great for the pirates and they would steal the dough, leading to a life sentence in the brig. McHale, sensing the trap, sent Parker to the paymaster's office with strict orders. "Do not stop. Do not talk to anyone. Come straight back to the boat. Your life depends on it." But Parker, distracted by the bustling life of New Caledonia and a girl's ankle specifically, a girl with a heart-shaped birthmark that reminded him of Siri, was ambushed. He was knocked unconscious, and the canvas bag containing the $62,000 vanished into the winding, dangerous streets of the French colonial port. When McHale found Parker wandering the docks, dazed and empty-handed, his heart sank. "Skip, I saw her," Parker lamented. "The girl. She had a heart on her ankle. She must have seen who hit me." "They were thieves, Skip. Professionals. We have 3 hours before Binghamton arrives for a surprise inspection," McHale said, his jaw set. "If that money isn't on the boat, we're all going to be wearing stripes for a long, long time. We're going hunting." The search through New Caledonia was a desperate race against time. The crew fanned out, checking every bistro, every gambling den, and every dark alley. They looked at every ankle, every face, while Binghamton and his aide, Carpenter, tracked them like vultures, waiting for the moment of their downfall. In a crowded marketplace, McHale finally spotted a man in a gray suit, the one Parker remembered from the shadows. The man was carrying a canvas bag, heading toward an old, abandoned Napoleonic fort overlooking the harbor. Chapter 10. The Trial of Sydney. While the crew was away in New Caledonia, a tragedy of a different sort was unfolding on Taratupa. Sydney, the alligator, had been arrested. Binghamton claimed that Sydney had stolen his wallet containing $900 of his personal pay. I want that beast destroyed, Binghamton screamed. He's a menace to the Navy. But Sidney had a defender. Ensign Parker, having returned from his payroll debacle, insisted on acting as Sidney's lawyer. Sir, Sidney has rights, Parker declared in the makeshift courtroom. He was acting on instinct. Besides, he loves my mother's peanut butter. He's a good alligator. The trial was a farce. Sidney sat in a large tub of water, looking bored, while Binghamton presented his evidence. But the trial took a turn when Sidney suddenly coughed up a wallet. Aha! Binghamton cried. Evidence, but it wasn't Binghamton's wallet. It was a wallet belonging to a notorious Japanese spy who had been hiding in the mangroves. Inside were plans for a sneak attack on Taratupa. Sidney hadn't stolen the money. He had captured a spy. The admiral, who had arrived for the payroll inspection, was impressed. This alligator has done more for the war effort than you have. Binghamton. Case dismissed. Sidney is to be given a commendation and all the peanut butter he can eat. Chapter 11. The Kano and the Mana. The final showdown occurred at the ruins of the fort. The thieves had stashed the payroll money inside an old, rusted cannon, planning to retrieve it after the military left. But McHale and his men arrived first. As they struggled to retrieve the bag from the deep recesses of the barrel, Binghamton and a squad of MPs surrounded them, their weapons drawn. Caught red-handed, Binghamton screamed, his face purple with triumph. The payroll, stolen by McHale's cutthroats. You're finished, McHale. This time, there's no way out. Wait, Captain, McHale shouted, standing his ground. We were recovering it. The thieves put it in the cannon to hide it from us. A likely story. There are no thieves. Only you and your band of pirates. Just then, a Japanese scout plane, perhaps sensing the commotion and seeing the gathering of American officers, dived out of the sun, its machine guns stitching a line of fire across the stone walls of the fort. Take cover, McHale yelled. In the chaos, the MPs scrambled for safety, their training forgotten in the face of sudden death. Parker, seeing the enemy plane coming around for another pass and realizing the MPs were pinned down, looked at the ancient cannon. Skip. It's loaded. Not with a shell, but with the payroll. And someone left a powder charge in there. Fire it, Chuck! McHale roared, a wild light in his eyes. Give them a taste of the U.S. Treasury. Let's see how they like American inflation. Parker lit the fuse with his cigarette lighter. The ancient iron groaned, a sound of prehistoric agony, then erupted with a deafening boom that shook the very foundations of the fort. But instead of a cannonball, the sky was suddenly filled with a shimmering cloud of green. $62,000 in $20 and $50 bills exploded into the air, caught by the sea breeze, fluttering down like a blizzard of wealth. The Japanese pilot, perhaps blinded by the sight of literal money falling from the sky, or simply confused by the bizarre tactic, jerked his stick too hard. His wing clipped a banyan tree, and he spiraled, smoking, into the sea. As the smoke cleared, the fort was covered in cash. Binghamton stood frozen, his mouth open, a $50 bill landing perfectly on his head like a crown of shame. Manna from heaven, Gruber whispered, reaching out to catch a floating 20. I think I'm in love with the Federal Reserve. It's the payroll, Captain, McHale said, brushing soot from his tattered uniform. Every cent of it. Technically, we used it as anti-aircraft ammunition. I'm sure the Admiral will understand the emergency expenditure to save the base. Binghamton looked at the money, then at McHale, then at the smoldering cannon. He knew he had lost, utterly and completely. If he arrested Macaulay now, he would have to explain why the payroll was in a cannon, and how Macaulay had saved the day with a blast of legal tender. Pick it up, Binghamton croaked, his spirit finally broken. Every single dollar. And help me get this 50 off my head. As the crew began the long, joyful task of counting the bills, McHale walked over to Nurse Wilson, who had watched the entire spectacle from the docks with a mixture of horror and admiration. You look like you've seen a miracle, Kate, he said, smiling his pirate smile. I've seen a lot of things on this island, Quentin, she replied, her eyes bright with a warmth she no longer tried to hide. But mostly, I saw a man who knows that sometimes you have to break the rules to save the world. She leaned in and kissed him a real kiss. Not a tropical fantasy, but something solid, true, and full of the promise of a future beyond the war. Epilogue. The Long Watch. Life on Taratupa eventually returned to its chaotic, beautiful, normal. Binghamton continued to plot and pop his pills. Carpenter continued to apologize for existing. And McHale continued to lead his band of brothers with a loose hand and a loyal heart. Ensign Parker continued to write letters to a princess in a distant land, his desk always smelling faintly of jasmine and peanut butter. Sidney the alligator remained the silent, scaly guardian of the lagoon, a hero of the Navy who never asked for anything more than a quiet spot in the sun and an occasional snack. The war would eventually end. The emerald waters would wash away the blood, the oil, and the footprints in the sand, leaving only the stories of a pirate commander who found love in a time of hate, a bumbling ensign who found his courage in a dress, and the girls they loved under a South Pacific moon. But for now, the PT-73 sat at the pier, the engines humming a steady, reliable tune, ready for the next tide. For on Taratupa, the only thing more certain than the heat was that as long as McHale was in command, the Lost Boys would always find their way through the storm and back to the arms of the ones they loved. The end. Tides of Taratupa. Love and Liberty in the South Pacific. Chapter 1. The Admiral and the Puppet Master. The sun over Taratupa did not merely shine. It pulsated with a malevolent, humid intensity. It was a thick, syrupy heat that clung to the skin like a wet wool blanket, scented with a paradoxical mix of blooming hibiscus, rotting coconuts, and the sharp, metallic tang of diesel fumes. For Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, known to the men of PT 73 as Old Lead Bottom, the heat was a secondary annoyance to the administrative nightmare that was his life. Binghamton stood in his office, his shirt already translucent with sweat, staring at a requisition form that seemed to mock his authority. Garter belts, he muttered, the words escaping in a frantic, high-pitched staccato. Wow, 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 wow. Garter belts. He looked up at his supply officer, his eyes wide with the manic energy of a man whose sanity was held together by a single frayed thread. The nurses need garter belts? In the middle of a global conflict? You snap to it, man. I mean, you shake a leg. Oh, you know exactly what I mean. Binghamton leaned back, clutching his stomach as if it were a ticking bomb. The war was a weight upon his shoulders, but today, that weight was about to become a crushing anvil. A message had arrived from Comfleet, vibrating with dread. Admiral Iron Pants Rafferty was arriving for a sneak inspection. Rafferty was a legend in the Pacific, a man who ate discipline for breakfast and spat out court-martials by lunch. The sinks in the Petty Officers Club are backing up. Binghamton screamed into the telephone receiver, his face turning a shade of purple that rivaled the tropical sunset. I am the commanding officer here, not a plumber. Do you realize what a mess this place is in? My stomach acid could start a jeep. I don't care. I just don't care. Desperation, however, is the mother of all schemes. As he popped another indigestion pill, a stroke of Machiavellian genius illuminated his clouded mind. If he was sick truly, bedridden, deathly ill, he wouldn't have to face the Admiral's piercing gaze. He could appoint an acting base commander to take the heat, but it couldn't be his loyal but dim-witted aide, Carpenter. It had to be someone the Admiral would naturally want to destroy. Lieutenant Commander Quentin McHale. McHale was the permanent thorn in Binghamton's side. He was the leader of a crew of pirates on PT-73 who treated the South Pacific like a perpetual, rum-soaked luau. If McHale were in charge, the island would fall into such utter, unscripted chaos that Rafferty would likely strip the man of his stripes on the spot. Binghamton would emerge from his illness as the noble victim of a rogue subordinate. Carpenter, Binghamton gasped, collapsing into his chair with practiced theatricality. I'm sick, terribly sick. Call the medic. On the double, tell them I'm paying. Oh, I'm going to pay. While Binghamton was perfecting his deathbed performance, the salt-crusted deck of PT-73 was hosting a different kind of drama. Quentin Macaulay stood at the helm, the wind catching his graying hair, his eyes scanning the horizon with a weary but sharp intelligence. He was a man of the sea, a leader who ruled not by the manual, but by a deep, unspoken bond of loyalty with his men. When the news reached them that McHale was to be the acting base commander, the crew erupted in cheers that could be heard over the roar of the surf. But McHale felt the cold shadow of a trap. He looked at Ensign Charles Parker, his earnest, clumsy, and perpetually flustered executive officer. "Parker, you're the new acting executive officer of the base," McHale said, a grim, knowing smile on his face. "Oh boy, did you hear that, Skipper?" Parker beamed, his cap askew. "You'll never regret this. I'll have those sinks fixed and those garter belts sorted before you can say, 'Anchors, away.'" But the romance of command was an illusion. In the administrative heart of Taratupa, the sinks remained stubbornly plugged. The air raid sirens were being used by bored sailors to mimic jazz trumpets, and the garter belts were being fashioned into slingshots. Amidst the madness, a softer thread began to weave through the narrative, the presence of Lieutenant Nurse Wilson. Wilson was a woman of steel and grace, a quiet island of competence in a sea of absurdity. She navigated the chaos with a calm that McHale found increasingly intoxicating. In the rare, stolen moments between Binghamton's tantrums and the crew's hijinks, McHale found himself watching her. It wasn't just the crispness of her uniform. It was the way she looked at the world with a weary, knowing smile. The smile of someone who understood that the only way to survive the war was to find the humor in it. Chapter 2: The Sultan's Secret and the Dance of Deception. The arrival of Sultan Karim of Mirani and his 3 daughters transformed Taratupa from a dusty military outpost into a scene from an exotic court. The Sultan was a man of immense dignity, traveling with a priceless cargo. His daughters, the princesses of Mirani. Macaulay and his crew had rescued the Sultan after his plane made an emergency landing near the desolate strip of Aku Aku. On the boat ride back, the air was thick with more than just the smell of salt spray. The crew, starved for beauty and femininity, were utterly spellbound. "Wowie, wow, wow." Happy, the crew's resident dreamer, whispered as the princesses stepped onto the deck, their silks shimmering in the sun. "I forgive your ignorance of our customs," the Sultan roared, sensing the crew's wondering eyes. "But the next man who dares to debase the dignity of the princesses will answer to me." But love, or at least the youthful, reckless version of it that flourishes in wartime, knows no royal decrees. Virgil, one of McHale's most reliable sailors, found his gaze locked with Princess Siri. In the tongue of Mirani, Siri meant happiness. And for a moment, amidst the thunder of the PT boat's engines, Virgil felt a joy he hadn't known since leaving the cornfields of the Midwest. As they arrived at the base, Binghamton, miraculously recovered from his illness now that Admiral Rafferty had departed, saw a chance to regain his standing. He would host a grand dinner for the Sultan. "I want everything 100% in order," Binghamton barked at Parker. "No mistakes, no McHaleisms." But the pirates of the 73 had other plans. Virgil, desperate to see Siri again, convinced his buddies to help him borrow the PT boat for a moonlit excursion. It was a romantic gesture that quickly spiraled into a strategic disaster. In a series of frantic swaps and clumsy disguises, the crew realized that Siri was missing from the Sultan's quarters just as the dinner was about to begin. The climax of the evening occurred when the Sultan insisted his daughters perform a traditional dance for the American officers. In the shadows of the banquet hall, McHale watched with bated breath as crew members, draped in stolen veils and poorly fitted silks, tried to mimic the lithe grace of Mirani royalty. Binghamton, suspicious as a cornered rat, tore a veil away from one of the dancers. "You phony Balinese bunny, you're under arrest!" The outrage was instantaneous. The Sultan stood, his face a mask of thunderous fury. "Captain, your unpardonable behavior will be reported to the State Department. I will raid your Washington. I will dismantle your Pentagon." In the fallout, McHale stood between his men and the captain's escalating wrath. He saw the look in Virgil's eyes, a genuine, heartbroken longing that transcended the war. It was then that Mikhail realized that the conflict wasn't just about torpedoes and territorial gains. It was about the small, fragile moments of humanity that the military machine tried so hard to crush. He made a silent vow to protect that spark, even if it cost him his command. Chapter 3. The Legend of Ginger and the Stolen Stripes. If there was one man on the 73 who lived for the hustle, it was Lester Gruber. But beneath the black market deals and the schemes to secure cold beer, Gruber harbored a secret that weighed heavier than a depth charge. Ginger. Ginger was a dancer with a traveling USO service show, a woman with a laugh like wind chimes and a heart that belonged entirely to a man she believed was a high-ranking naval officer. In a fit of romantic insecurity during their correspondence, Gruber had claimed he was a lieutenant commander. When the service show unexpectedly arrived on Taratupa, Gruber's world imploded. He couldn't let her see him in his swabby whites, peeling potatoes, and dodging Binghamton's boots. He begged Mikhail for a favor that defied every regulation in the naval handbook. "Please, Skip," Gruber pleaded, his eyes moist with genuine terror. "If I don't see her as a commander, I'll lose her. I'll be living at the YMCA until I'm 80. Against his better judgment, Mikhail allowed the charade. For one afternoon, a small stretch of beach, known as Gruber's Island, became the makeshift headquarters of Commander Gruber. The crew fell in, dressed in mismatched uniforms, acting as his elite honor guard. When Ginger stepped off the boat, the humid air of the Pacific seemed to go still. She was a vision in a floral sundress, her eyes searching for her hero. "Lester!" she cried, throwing her arms around Gruber, who stood stiffly in Mikhail's borrowed jacket, the extra stripes gleaming like gold in the sun. "Pussycat," Gruber whispered, his voice cracking with the strain of the lie. "Just doing my job. Just another death-defying mission behind enemy lines." Mikhail, acting as Gruber's ensign, watched from the shadows. He saw the way Ginger looked at Gruber, with a pride that was both beautiful and tragic. It reminded him of his own unspoken feelings for Nurse Wilson. He realized that on this island, they were all pretending to be something they weren't, trying to stay brave in a world that was falling apart. The romance was interrupted by the sudden arrival of British Commodore Norcross, in a frantic comedy of errors involving a surfacing Japanese submarine, and a torpedo fired by a terrified Ensign Parker who thought he was aiming at a sea monster. The truth threatened to spill. "Smashing show, Grover!" the Commodore shouted as the torpedo miraculously hit its mark. In the end, the sub was neutralized, the Commodore was impressed, and Ginger left the island still believing her. Lester was the greatest hero in the South Pacific. As the boat carrying her away disappeared into the horizon, Gruber stood on the shore, the borrowed stripes feeling heavier than lead. "You okay, Gruber?" Mikhail asked, placing a steady hand on his shoulder. "She loves me, Skip," Gruber said softly, staring at the empty sea. "She really loves me. I just hope I can become the man she thinks I am before this war is over." Chapter 4. The Laughing Gas Gambit. The tension on Taratupa reached a fever pitch when Binghamton decided he had finally found a way to rid himself of Ensign Parker once and for all. Parker had accidentally torpedoed a garbage scow, and Binghamton was convening a fitness board to strip the boy of his commission. "He's a menace," Binghamton roared in his office. The crew was desperate. Parker was the heart of the boat, his innocence a necessary counterweight to their cynicism. It was Macaulay who noticed a peculiar detail. Macaulay had just returned from the dentist after having a wisdom tooth pulled. He was still reeling from the effects of nitrous oxide laughing gas. "If we can get Binghamton into a good mood," Mikhail suggested, his voice low and conspiratorial, "he might just cancel that board." The plan was audacious. The crew acquired a tank of nitrous oxide from the base infirmary. They waited until Binghamton was in his office, fuming over Parker's record, and began to pump the gas through the window under the guise of spraying for frangipani flies. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Within minutes, the sound of Binghamton's screams was replaced by a high-pitched, hysterical giggle. "Oh, Chucky Wucky!" Binghamton laughed, stumbling out of his office and embracing a bewildered Ensign Parker. "You torpedoed a garbage scow?" That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. The potato peels must have looked like a camouflage sab. Oh, you're a riot, Parker. The jolly captain began to dance across the base, hugging nurses and singing sea shanties. He even ordered the fitness board to be cancelled, calling Parker a brave lad who laughs in the face of death. But the gas was a fickle ally. As a Japanese Zero chose that exact moment to strafe the island, Parker, still high on the residual fumes, stood out in the open, laughing as he manned a machine gun. By some miracle of fate and chemistry, he actually shot the plane down. The admiral, arriving just in time to see Parker's heroism, was stunned. Anyone who stands laughing in the face of death like that was born to be a combat officer. Binghamton, as the gas wore off, woke up with a headache and a cancelled court-martial, realizing he had once again been outsmarted by the ghosts of PT-73. But as he watched Parker receive a commendation, he couldn't help but wonder if there was something more than just gas in the air of Taratupa. Chapter 5. The Jinxed Ghost of the Pacific. Fear is a powerful weapon in the South Pacific, and Binghamton decided to use it. He discovered an old report stating that PT-73 had originally been commissioned as PT-13, a boat with a history of drowned crews and mysterious explosions. "It's a jinxed boat, Mahale," Binghamton sneered, having the number 13 painted over the 73. "Every man who sails on her is a marked man. If I were you, I'd put in for a transfer before the sea claims you." The psychological warfare began to take its toll. The crew, superstitious by nature, started hearing phantom footsteps on the deck and seeing strange lights in the engine room. Parker was convinced he was seeing ghosts in the rigging. "We're living on borrowed time, Skip," Parker cried, clutching his lucky rabbit's foot. McHale knew he had to break the spell. He decided to give Binghamton a taste of his own medicine. One night, while the captain was staying late in his office, the crew rigged the base with wires and pulleys. They dressed in white sheets and used megaphones to create a haunting, otherworldly atmosphere. "Wallace. Wallace B. Binghamton." The voice echoed through the palms. "We are the ghosts of PT-13, and we've come for the man who sent us to our doom." Binghamton, never the bravest of men, was reduced to a quivering mess. "McHale, help me. The ghosts. They're everywhere." In his terror, Binghamton signed the papers to restore the boat's original number and promised never to mention the 13 again. As the ghosts retreated back to the 73, McHale shared a quiet laugh with Nurse Wilson, who had watched the whole performance from the shadows of the infirmary. "You're a dangerous man, Quentin," she said, her eyes twinkling. "Just a man trying to keep his boat afloat." "Lieutenant," he replied, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the tropical sun. Chapter 6. The New Caledonia Payroll. The stakes of the heart were soon eclipsed by the stakes of survival. The base payroll, $62,000 in small, unmarked bills, had to be transported from New Caledonia. Binghamton, in another attempt to trap McHale, assigned the task to the bumbling Ensign Parker. "Take the shortcut back to the 73, Binghamton had instructed, with a wicked glint. Down Saloon Road, just before the racetrack. It was a setup. Parker, carrying the heavy canvas bag, was ambushed. When he regained consciousness, the money was gone, and his only memory of the event was a hazy blur of a girl's ankle. "A girl's ankle?" McHale groaned as the crew gathered on the deck. "That's all you've got for 62 grand? "A girl, Dalina. She had a little brown heart," Parker insisted, his face flushing crimson. "A birthmark right on her right ankle. I'm positive." The search for the girl with the heart became a desperate, comedic race across the French territory of New Caledonia. The crew scoured cafes and dance halls, lifting tablecloths and peeking under benches, much to the alarm of the local gendarmes. Amidst the hunt, McHale found himself in a quiet French cafe, the sound of a distant accordion drifting through the humid air. There, he saw her Nurse Wilson. She was out of uniform, wearing a simple, flowing dress, looking out at the turquoise ocean. "Looking for a sign, Commander?" she asked, not turning around. McHale sat beside her, the weight of the missing money pressing on him. "I'm looking for a miracle, Wilson. This war makes us look for signs in the strangest places," she said, her voice soft and resonant. But sometimes, the miracle is just having someone to sit with in the silence. For a brief moment, the payroll, the war, and Binghamton's schemes faded into insignificance. McHale reached out, his hand hovering near hers. The romance of the South Pacific wasn't in the grand, sweeping gestures. It was in the shared understanding between two souls who knew that every moment could be their last. The moment was shattered by Parker's voice echoing down the street. They had found the suspect, a local rogue who had stashed the money inside an old ceremonial cannon in the town square. In a frantic shootout with a Japanese Zero that chose that exact moment to strafe the town, the cannon was accidentally fired. Instead of a lead ball, a cloud of $62,000 erupted into the sky, raining down on the shocked inhabitants of New Caledonia like green manna from heaven. Manna from heaven. McHale laughed, joined by the crew as they scrambled to collect the flying bills amidst the smoke of the strafing run. Chapter 7. The Alligator and the Ultimatum. The final trial for the crew of PT-73 arrived in the form of Sydney, a friendly, peanut butter-loving alligator that Parker had befriended in the lagoon. Binghamton, reaching the absolute end of his patience, had marked $900 of his own back pay and planted it in a wallet, hoping to frame McHale and Parker for theft. But Sydney, with a penchant for leather and the scent of Parker's sandwiches, had snatched the wallet first. The ensuing court-martial was a masterpiece of the absurd. Parker, acting as his own defense attorney, argued with the passion of a man whose life depended on a reptile's integrity. "I object," Parker shouted, pointing a trembling finger at Binghamton. McHale watched the proceedings with a mixture of amusement and fierce pride. He saw his men, his pirates, standing shoulder to shoulder in the sweltering courtroom. He saw Nurse Wilson in the gallery, her eyes meeting his with a look of unwavering support that spoke louder than any testimony. When Sydney finally testified by wandering into the courtroom and dropping the half-chewed wallet at the feet of the Admiral, the truth was laid bare. Binghamton's trap had snapped shut on his own reputation. "Aha!" the Admiral shouted. "It was a frame-up." "Captain Binghamton, I'd suggest you find a very good excuse for this." As the court-martial collapsed into laughter and cheers, McHale walked out into the warm, starlit Pacific night. The air was finally cooling, the lagoon reflecting the silver light of a crescent moon. He found Nurse Wilson waiting for him by the pier. "Another victory for the 73, she said, her smile radiant in the moonlight. "It wasn't a victory, Anne," McCallie said, using her first name for the first time. He stepped closer, the scent of her perfume mixing with the salt air. "It was a miracle, and I'm tired of waiting for miracles." "Then stop waiting," she whispered. McHale looked at the PT-73, a dark silhouette against the shimmering water. He looked at the woman before him. The war would continue, the battles would be fought, and Binghamton would undoubtedly find a new way to attempt their ruin by dawn. But for tonight, there was only the sound of the tide, the rustle of the palms, and the certain, electric heat of a hand finally finding his. In the middle of a world at war, Quentin McHale had found his own version of happiness. "Wow," he whispered, a genuine, peaceful smile playing on his lips. As they walked down the pier, their shadows intertwined. The tides of Taratupa continued to roll, carrying with them the stories of men and women who, in the shadow of giants, chose to live, to laugh, and above all, to love. Epilogue, the horizon's promise. Days later, the PT-73 sat at anchor in the calm lagoon. The crew was unusually quiet, content to watch the sun dip below the waves in a blaze of gold and crimson. Gruber was sitting on the bow, writing a letter to Ginger. This time, it wasn't from a commander. It was from a sailor named Lester, telling her the truth and promising that no matter what his rank, he would find his way back to her. Parker was sharing the last of a peanut butter sandwich with Sydney on the sandy shore, the alligator's tail thumping rhythmically in the surf. And in the commander's quarters, McHale sat with a small, framed photo. It wasn't of a ship or a medal. It was a candid shot of a nurse, laughing in the tropical sun, her eyes full of a future they both dared to believe in. "Full speed ahead," McHale whispered to the quiet room. The engines of the 73 were silent, but the heart of Taratupa beat on a steady, romantic pulse in the vast, unforgiving, and beautiful blue of the Pacific. Tides of Taratupa, a South Pacific Romance. Chapter 1. The humidity of longing and the sense of war. The South Pacific sun was a relentless lover, pressing its suffocating heat against the emerald canopies of Taratupa Island until the very air seemed to shimmer with a feverish intensity. This was not the paradise promised in travel brochures. It was a green hell of damp canvas, stinging insects, and the metallic tang of salt spray. For Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, the heat was not a romantic embrace, but a heavy, wet blanket that threatened to smother his ambitions. He stood in his office, the overhead fan churning the humid air with a rhythmic, metallic protest that mimicked the throbbing in his temples. "Garter belts, Carpenter," Binghamton bellowed, his voice cracking with a mixture of rage and exhaustion. He slammed a sweaty palm onto his mahogany desk, causing a stack of requisition forms to flutter like wounded birds. The nurses are clamoring for garter belts. The petty officers' club has sinks backing up with the sludge of 1,000 sins, and you stand there looking like a stunned mullet. Do you realize the magnitude of the disaster looming over us? Lieutenant Elroy Carpenter, a man whose loyalty was matched only by his profound lack of coordination, adjusted his cap nervously, his glasses fogging in the humidity. "But sir, the supply lines are choked from here to Pearl Harbor." "It's the war, sir. Logistics are a nightmare." "What a war!" Binghamton cried, his eyes wandering to the window. Outside, the sparkling lagoon was a postcard of tranquility, save for the PT-73 boat, sitting like a defiant, oily splinter in the center of his vision. Everything is on my shoulders. Every clogged drain, every missing silk stocking. And now, the final blow. Rafferty. Iron Pants Rafferty is arriving today for a sneak inspection. If he sees the state of this base, if he sees Makele's band of cutthroats running wild like pirates in a rum shop, my career will be as dead as a beached whale under a noon sun. Binghamton leaned back, his stomach churning a volatile mixture of high acidity and low, desperate cunning. He glanced at a bottle of stomach pills on his desk. Suddenly, a spark of inspiration lit his weary eyes. It was a seed of deception, planted in the fertile soil of his desperation. If he were sick truly, dramatically, undeniably incapacitated, he could appoint an acting commander to take the brunt of the Admiral's legendary wrath. And who better to sacrifice to the volcano than the rogue he hated most? "Carpenter," Binghamton whispered, his voice dropping to a theatrical rasps. He clutched his midsection as if struck by a bayonet. "I feel a turn, a terrible, terminal turn. My stomach acid could start a jeep. Call the medic. I am a very sick man, Carpenter. Terribly sick. I might even be dying." As Carpenter scrambled for the phone, shrieking for help, Binghamton allowed himself a small, sickly smile. He would hand the keys of the kingdom to Quentin Mahale, and then watch from the safety of a hospital bed as the Iron Pants flattened the PT-73 into a pancake. Chapter 2. Moonlight. While Binghamton practiced his death rattles in the base hospital, life on the PT-73 followed a rhythm set by the tides and the moon. Commander Quentin Mahale was a creature of the sea, a man whose skin seemed to be cured in brine and whose heart beat in sync with the heavy thrum of Packard engines. He was a leader who ruled not by the rigid manuals of the Navy, but by an unspoken code of honor, brotherhood, and a profound sense of mischief. The crew of the 73 was a collection of misfits who had found a home in the chaos of the South Pacific. Among them was Lester Gruber, the ship's scrounger, a man who could talk a shark out of its teeth. But today, Gruber's usual bravado was gone, replaced by a pale, trembling anxiety. The cause of his distress arrived with the morning transport plane. A service show unit had been dispatched to Taratupa, a rare treat of music and dance for the weary soldiers. As the women disembarked, a splash of vibrant color against the drab olive of the base, one figure stood out. Ginger. She was a vision from a world before the war, with eyes like the midnight sea and a smile that could stop a torpedo mid-run. "Skip," Gruber whispered to McHale, his knuckles white as he gripped the railing. "I'm a dead man. I'm truly, horizontally dead." "She's here. Ginger is actually here." McHale leaned back, a half-chewed cigar clamped between his teeth, watching the blonde dancer wave to the cheering sailors. "The showgirl from Brooklyn?" The one you've been writing those creative letters to. Creative? Skip. I told her I was a lieutenant commander. I told her I had a chest full of medals and a summer home in Newport. Gruber's voice was a frantic hiss. If she sees me in these greasy dungarees, she'll realize I'm just a two-bit swab from the Bronx with a talent for finding black market scotch. I'll lose her, Skip, and she's the only thing that makes this mosquito-infested jungle feel like home. Macaire looked at his friend. He saw the genuine ache in Gruber's eyes, the kind of longing that no amount of naval discipline could quench. In the midst of a global conflict, where death was a daily neighbor, a man's love was a fragile, precious thing. "All right, Lester," Mikhail said, a slow, predatory grin spreading across his face. "For the next hour, the PT-73 has a new skipper. Get your gold braid ready, find the cleanest uniform on the island, and stand tall. We're going to give your ginger a performance that would put Broadway to shame." For 5 glorious, terrifying minutes, Lester Gruber became Commander Snookums, the terror of the Pacific. While Mikhail and the rest of the crew played the part of his subservient, starstruck subordinates, it was a dance of deception fueled by love, performed under the watchful eyes of a girl who saw the hero even when the medals were borrowed. Chapter 3. The Sultan's Ransom and the Princess's Secret. The romantic tapestry of Taratupa grew even more complex with the arrival of the Sultan of Marami. He was an exiled royal of ancient and proud lineage, traveling with his 3 daughters, princesses of such ethereal, haunting beauty that the sailors of the base forgot the names of their own mothers. The Sultan's plane had suffered engine failure near Samura, and it was Makhale and the 73 who had swept in to perform the rescue. As the Sultan stepped onto the deck of the PT boat, his silk robes clashing with the oil-stained wood, the vessel was transformed from a weapon of war into a floating palace of intrigue. "You run a peculiar ship, Commander," the Sultan remarked, his dark, discerning eyes watching as Ensign Parker managed to trip over a perfectly flat deck. "We prioritize results over grace, Your Highness," Makhale replied, with a bow that possessed a surprising, rugged elegance. The Sultan's presence required a diplomatic finesse that Binghamton sorely lacked. Desperate to curry favor and impress the visiting Admiral Rafferty, Binghamton organized a lavish dinner in the Sultan's honor. It was a night of heavy perfumes, silken shadows, and the soft, rhythmic clinking of fine china. The Sultan's daughters were the centerpiece of the evening, their traditional dances, a hypnotic poetry that spoke of desert winds and jasmine-scented nights. However, beneath the surface of the royal protocol, a farce was unfolding. One of the princesses was an impostor, a desperate, last-minute substitution by Mikhale's crew to cover for one of the actual princesses who had snuck off for a forbidden, moonlit swim with a handsome sailor. Binghamton, fueled by a cocktail of suspicion and a pathological need to expose Mikhale's irregularities, spent the night prowling the edges of the room. When he finally made his move, intending to unmask what he believed was a common showgirl in royal robes, he found himself clutching not a spy, but the very real, very insulted daughter of a sovereign ruler. "Stupid infidel!" the Sultan roared, his voice a thunderclap that shattered the delicate atmosphere. "You dare lay hands upon the blood of Marami? You dare treat my daughter like a common suspect?" The romance of the tropical night was instantly replaced by a diplomatic catastrophe of global proportions. Binghamton was left in a state of near-comatose shock, while Mikhail was forced to use every ounce of his legendary charm to mend the hearts of kings and save the base from an international incident. Chapter 4. The Gothic Horror of PT-13. Fear, as the philosophers say, is a powerful aphrodisiac, but on Taratupa, it was primarily used as a weapon of psychological warfare. In the weeks following the Sultan's departure, a new and chilling shadow fell over the lagoon. A rumor, carefully planted and nurtured by Binghamton, began to circulate among the men. The PT-73 was cursed. Binghamton had uncovered old naval records suggesting that their beloved boat was actually the reborn PT-13, a vessel of ill omen that had supposedly lost 2 entire crews to freak accidents, spontaneous combustions, and phantom fires. The crew of the 73, though brave in the face of enemy fire, were men of the sea, superstitious to their core. They began to see omens in the flight of birds, and ghosts in the morning mist. The romance of their life at sea turned into a gothic horror. Even McHale found it difficult to maintain the spirit of his men. When the boat's engines began to turn over by themselves in the dead of night, and white-clad figures were reported drifting through the dense jungle surrounding their dock. "We're living on borrowed time, Skip." Ensign Parker whimpered one night, clutching a rabbit's foot so tightly his knuckles were white. "The 13 is coming for us. I can feel the cold breath of the sea on my neck." But McHale was a man who believed in what he could see and touch. He knew the ghosts wore Navy-issue boots, and that the phantom fires were fueled by Binghamton's malice. In a daring midnight counterstrike, McHale and his men turned the base into a haunted house of their own design. They used phosphorescent paint, hidden speakers, playing recorded groans, and wires to make objects fly through the air. The climax occurred on a Friday the 13th, under the eerie light of a blood-red moon. Binghamton, convinced he was being haunted by the restless spirits of the sailors he had wronged, fled his quarters in his silk pajamas, screaming for mercy into the uncaring night. It was a battle of nerves, where the love for their ship proved stronger than the fear of the supernatural. They reclaimed the 73's identity, purging the jinx, and for a brief moment, the lagoon was peaceful once more. Chapter Fee, the alligator, the wallet, and the peanut butter defense. The romantic and absurd life of Taratupa took another surreal turn with the introduction of Sydney. Sydney was not a new recruit, but a 6-foot alligator with a surprisingly gentle disposition and a very specific, very human craving for Ensign Parker's mother's homemade peanut butter sandwiches. "He's got the eyes of an angel and the teeth of a buzzsaw," Parker would say, affectionately patting the reptile's snout. But Sydney was destined for more than just being a mascot. He became the central figure in a high-stakes legal drama. Binghamton, in a final, desperate attempt to rid himself of McHale once and for all, had set a trap. He used a marked $900 payroll from his own wallet as bait, accidentally dropping it near the 73's dock, certain that the crew's scrounging instincts would lead them straight into a court-martial. Instead, Sydney had found the wallet first. The resulting trial was a spectacle that drew every soul on the island. Binghamton stood as the prosecutor, his voice thick with a self-righteous venom as he demanded the maximum penalty for McHale and Parker. "They are thieves of the lowest order," Binghamton shouted, pointing a trembling finger at the defendants. "They have pilfered the very lifeblood of this base." But just as the verdict seemed certain, the doors of the courtroom were kicked open. McHale and his men marched in, leading Sydney on a sturdy chain. The courtroom fell into a stunned silence. "Your Honor," McHale said, his voice a calm anchor in the sea of chaos, "the defense would like to call its star witness to the stand." In a moment of pure, unadulterated absurdity, Sydney, prompted by the scent of a peanut butter sandwich hidden in McHale's pocket, opened his massive jaws and disgorged the wallet. It landed on the judge's bench, damp but intact, with every marked bill present and accounted for. The charges were dropped amidst a gale of laughter from the gallery. Binghamton was left to explain to the Admiral why he was leaving his personal finances in the mouths of reptiles, and Sydney was officially designated as the most honest member of the base. For Parker, it was a moment of true, scaly romance, a bond built on shared snacks, and a mutual distaste for the captain. Chapter 6. The Laughing Gas Heist and the Admiral of Hearts. As the war in the Pacific ground on, the tension between the front office and the PT-73 dock reached a simmering breaking point. Binghamton, humiliated by the Sydney incident, was determined to destroy Ensign Parker's career through a formal fitness board. "I'm a failure, Skip," Parker lamented one evening, staring despondently at his reflection in a pool of stagnant rainwater. "I'm a klutz, a Jonah, a man who trips over his own shadow. The Navy is right to want me gone, Wolaki. Daskai." McHale couldn't stand to see the light go out in Parker's eyes. He saw the heart in the young man, the unwavering kindness that the Navy's rigid metrics of efficiency could never capture. They needed a miracle, and they found it in the base dentist's supply room, a heavy tank of nitrous oxide laughing gas. The plan was a masterclass in chaotic intervention. They would dose Binghamton's office through the ventilation system, just before the fitness board convened. A happy captain, McHale reasoned, would be a merciful captain. What followed was a scene of pure, carnivalesque madness. As the gas filled the room, the stern, tyrannical Binghamton was suddenly, chemically transformed. He giggled at the Admiral's serious questions. He began to dance a clumsy jig on his desk. He hugged McHale, calling him his bestest buddy in the whole wide world, and insisted that Parker was not a failure, but the Admiral of the Hearts. "Oh, you boys are just a bunch of giggly-wiggly fun," Binghamton shrieked, his face flushed with a surreal, drug-induced joy. Under the influence of the gas, he signed the papers cancelling the fitness board and even issued a commendation for Parker's unorthodox spirit. It was a temporary insanity, a brief, beautiful window where the war and the hate were forgotten in a haze of chemical laughter. When the gas finally dissipated, the old Binghamton returned, colder and angrier than ever. But the signatures were already dry. Parker was safe, saved by the laughter of a man who had long ago forgotten how to be happy. Chapter 7. The Heart of New Caledonia and the Reign of Gold. The grandest and most romantic adventure of the 73 occurred far from the muddy shores of Taratupa, in the sophisticated, sun-drenched streets of New Caledonia. The crew had been sent on a mission of vital importance to pick up and transport the base payroll, $62,000 in small, unmarked bills. New Caledonia was a city of intrigue, a place of French cafes, shadowed alleyways, and the lingering scent of expensive perfume. For the crew, it was a dream of civilization in the middle of a nightmare of war. But for Ensign Parker, it was the site of his greatest heartbreak. While carrying the heavy payroll bag down the infamous Saloon Road, Parker's attention was caught by a vision. He saw a girl across the street, a local beauty with eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the islands. As she walked, her skirt fluttered, revealing a tiny, brown birthmark on her right ankle, shaped perfectly like a heart. In that moment of romantic distraction, Parker was struck from behind by a pair of local thieves. When he regained consciousness, the girl was gone, and more importantly, the $62,000 had vanished. The romance of the city turned into a frantic, high-stakes hunt. "We find that girl, and we find the money," McHale ordered, his face set in grim lines. They scoured every bistro and gambling hall in the city. They peeked under 1,000 tablecloths, risking the wrath of the French authorities. It was a pursuit of a ghost, a romantic mystery that led them eventually to a pair of career criminals who had stashed the payroll in an ancient, decorative brass cannon overlooking the harbor. The climax was a cinematic chase through the winding streets, culminating at the harbor's edge. In a desperate attempt to create a diversion, the thieves ignited the old cannon. Instead of a ball, the cannon fired the payroll bag. The air was suddenly filled with a swirling, golden rain of $20 and $50 bills, fluttering down over the harbor like green autumn leaves. In the midst of the chaos, as the crew scrambled to recover the flying fortunes, Parker found the girl again. She wasn't a thief. She had merely been a witness. Her heart-shaped birthmark a beacon that had led them to the truth. He didn't get her name, but he got a smile, a memory of a romantic vision that would sustain him through the long, lonely nights back on the island. Chapter 8. Sunset on the 73 and the enduring heart. The payroll was eventually accounted for. The Sultan's anger was cooled by time and diplomacy, and Binghamton was once again left to nurse his wounded pride. As the sun began its slow descent over Taratupa, painting the sky in bruised purples and fiery oranges, the crew of the PT-73 gathered on the deck of their boat. Gruber sat by the radio, a fresh letter from Ginger in his hand. She had seen the commander during her show, and she had seen through the borrowed gold braid to the man beneath. "She says she's waiting for me, Skip," Gruber said, his voice cracked with a rare, genuine emotion. "Not for the medals or the Newport mention, just for Lester from the Bronx. She says, a hero is someone who makes her laugh when the world is crying." McHale stood at the bridge, looking out toward the vast, darkening horizon. The war was far from over. There would be more inspections, more iron pants admirals, and more of Binghamton's petty vendettas. But as he looked at the faces of his men, his family of outcasts, he knew they were ready. "You know, Skip," Parker said, leaning against the railing with Sidney the alligator resting contentedly at his feet. This place is a mess. It's hot, it's dangerous, and the food is terrible. But if you look at it just right, it's almost romantic. Mikhail laughed, a deep, resonant sound that carried across the quiet lagoon. He struck a match and lit a cigar, the smoke curling into the twilight air. "It's a madhouse, Chuck," Mikhail said, clapping the young man on the shoulder. "But it's our madhouse. And as long as we have each other and a few peanut butter sandwiches, we'll be just fine." As the first stars began to pierce the velvet canopy of the night, the PT-73 sat silent on the water, a small, defiant bastion of humanity in a world at war. The tides of Taratupa continued to pull, a constant reminder of the world beyond. But for tonight, there was only the sound of the waves, the scent of the hibiscus, and the enduring strength of the human heart. Back in his office, Captain Binghamton watched the boat through his binoculars. He saw the glow of Mikhail's cigar and felt the familiar surge of frustration. But even he, in the deep silence of the tropical night, felt the strange, haunting pull of the island. He adjusted his cap, sighed, and wondered if the nurses had finally gotten their garter belts. The war would return with the sunrise. But for now, on Taratupa, the only thing that truly mattered was the moonlight on the water and the laughter of friends. Epilogue. Decades later, when the jungle had reclaimed the air raid shelters and the lagoon was empty of its grey ghosts, the legends of Taratupa remained. They spoke of a captain who fought with shadows, an ensign who befriended monsters, and a commander who led a tribe of heroes. But mostly, they spoke of the romance the way a group of men found light in the darkness of war, and how a tiny heart on a girl's ankle was worth more than $62,000. The island was gone, but the tides never stopped coming in. Echoes of the South Seas. A novel. Prologue. The humidity of war. The South Pacific was not merely a theater of war. It was a sensory onslaught of contrasting worlds. The air over Taratupa was a thick, humid blanket that smelled of diesel fuel, salt spray, and the intoxicating, heavy scent of wild hibiscus. Here, the line between duty and survival blurred under the relentless tropical sun. Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, known to his men, though never to his face, as old Lead Bottom sat in his sweltering office, his stomach churning with an acidity that he often joked could start a jeep. For Binghamton, the war was a series of logistical nightmares and the constant nagging headache caused by one man, Lieutenant Commander Quentin Mikhail. But today, the air felt different. It wasn't just the heat. It was the impending arrival of Admiral Iron Pants Rafferty, a man whose reputation for discipline was as rigid as the steel of a battleship. Binghamton felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, a burden he carried with a mixture of self-pity and frantic ambition. Little did he know that the chaos about to unfold would test not just his military standing, but the very hearts of the men and women stationed on this forgotten strip of paradise. Chapter 1. The Fragility of Command. The morning had begun with a ridiculous request for garter belts. It was the kind of absurdity that defined life at Taratupa. If the nurses need garter belts, then you snap to it. Binghamton had barked at his supply officer, his voice cracking with the strain of a man on the edge. As the news of Admiral Rafferty's sneak inspection hit the base like a torpedo, Binghamton felt a desperate idea take root in his mind. If he were incapacitated, if he were truly, undeniably ill, he could avoid the Admiral's wrath. He could appoint an acting base commander to take the heat. "I really get sick," he whispered to his reflection in the water-stained mirror. And then someone else would have to face the Admiral. His eyes fell upon the list of officers. He didn't choose the reliable, the stoic, or the disciplined. No, he chose Mikhail. It was a stroke of what he deemed absolute brilliance. He would place Mikhail and his cutthroats in charge, knowing they would inevitably destroy their own reputations in front of the Admiral, leaving Binghamton to return as the savior of order. When Ensign Charles Parker entered the room, he found his captain clutching his stomach, groaning with a theatricality that would have put a Shakespearean lead to shame. Parker, a man whose heart was as large as his coordination was lacking, was instantly overcome with genuine concern. "Sir," Take it easy on those pills, Parker pleaded, his voice trembling. You know how they give you indigestion. I don't care, Parker. I just don't care, Binghamton wailed. In that moment, Parker felt a strange surge of loyalty. He saw not a commanding officer, but a fragile man breaking under the pressure. Behind the scenes, however, McHale was being summoned. The rugged, charismatic commander of the PT-73 boat arrived at the infirmary, his presence filling the small, sterile room with a sense of grounded strength that Binghamton utterly lacked. I'm a saltwater skipper, sir, McHale protested when told of his new appointment. I'd be no good behind a desk, but Binghamton, feigning a near-death rattle, insisted. To sweeten the deal, or perhaps to ensure the disaster was total, he appointed Parker as the acting executive officer. As McHale and Parker left the room, the weight of their new roles began to sink in. Parker looked at McHale, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and excitement. For Parker, this wasn't just a promotion. It was a chance to prove his worth. Perhaps even to the beautiful nurse Wilson, whose quiet strength he had admired from afar for months. Chapter 2. The Sultan's Shadow. Life on Taratupa was never quiet for long. They had been rescued after their plane was forced down near the island of Samura, and now the diplomatic future of the region rested in the hands of the PT-73 crew. Sultan Karim was a man of immense dignity and even greater protectiveness. He traveled with what he called his most valuable possessions, his daughters. The princesses were like visions from another world, their silks shimmering in the harsh military light of the docks. Wowie, wow, wow, whispered one of the sailors as the princesses disembarked. The Sultan's eyes flashed with fire. The next man who dares to debase the dignity of the princesses will answer to me. McHale stepped forward, his voice calm and respectful. Your Highness, my name is Quentin McHale. My crew and I are here to serve you. In the days that followed, the base was transformed. The rigid lines of military life softened under the influence of the royal guests. However, beneath the surface, a more personal drama was unfolding. Lester Grube, the lovable rogue of the 73 crew, had found himself smitten with Princess Siri. Lester was a man who lived on the edge of the rules. But with Siri, he felt a strange desire for something more. He lied, of course, telling her he was a high-ranking officer, because he couldn't imagine a princess ever looking at a mere sailor. They met in the secret, moonlit corners of the island, where the sound of the waves drowned out the distant rumbling of the war. In Marami, Chiri told him, her voice a soft melody, "My name means happiness." "Well," Lester replied, his heart pounding against his ribs, "you've brought a lot of that to this dusty old rock." But the romance was built on a foundation of sand. When Binghamton, recovered from his illness and desperate to reclaim his status, organized a grand dinner for the Sultan, the lies began to unravel. He suspected McHale's men were fraternizing, and he was determined to catch them in the act. The dinner was a disaster of epic proportions. Binghamton, fueled by suspicion and high blood pressure, accused one of the dancing princesses of being a phony Balinese bunny in disguise. He lunged at her, only to realize he had insulted the Sultan's actual daughter. "Stupid infidel!" the Sultan roared, sweeping his daughters away. Binghamton stood in the middle of the mess hall, a piece of silk in his hand, and his reputation in tatters. McHale looked on, a pained smile on his face. He knew that in the South Pacific, love and war were equally dangerous, and tonight, both had taken a heavy hit. Chapter 3. The Trial of Charles Parker. If there was one person who bore the brunt of Binghamton's frustrations, it was Ensign Parker. Following a series of mishaps, including an accidental torpedoing of a garbage scow and a laughing gas incident that left the captain hysterically giggling during a serious briefing, Binghamton decided it was time for a fitness. Bored, he wanted Parker gone. He wanted him broken down to a seaman second class so fast his head would spin. The atmosphere on the base grew somber. Parker, usually the source of bumbling lightheartedness, was a ghost of himself. He sat on the edge of the PT-73, staring out at the lagoon. "I'm a failure, Skip," he told Mikhail. The captain's right. I'm a boob. Mikhail placed a heavy hand on Parker's shoulder. Chuck, being a good officer isn't about following every regulation to the letter. It's about heart, and you've got more heart than the rest of the Pacific Fleet put together. The crew of the 73 refused to let their friend fall. They hatched a plan, one that involved an unlikely ally, Sydney, a stray alligator that Parker had befriended and fed with his mother's peanut butter sandwiches. The day of the fitness board was a sweltering affair. Admiral Shoemaker had arrived to preside, and Binghamton was prepared to deliver the killing blow. He accused Parker of everything from incompetence to insanity, citing Parker's claim that an alligator had stolen the captain's wallet. An alligator with an unhappy childhood. Binghamton mocked in the courtroom, but then the door swung open. Mikhail and the crew entered, leading Sydney the alligator. In the creature's mouth was Binghamton's missing wallet. The courtroom erupted in chaos. Parker, acting as his own defense, stood tall for the first time in his life. He didn't just prove his innocence. He proved that the captain had been trying to frame him. I object, Parker shouted, his voice finally finding its strength. You can't call Sydney stupid. Admiral Shoemaker looked at the scene, the alligator, the panicked captain, and the brave ensign, and made his decision. Not only was Parker cleared, but he was commended for his bravery in the face of death. Referring to a previous incident where a laughing gas-filled Parker had accidentally shot down a Japanese plane. That night, the 73 crew celebrated. Parker found himself walking along the beach with Nurse Wilson. You were amazing today, Charles, she said softly. Parker blushed, the moonlight catching the silver of his ensign bars. I just didn't want to let the guys down. Or you. She leaned in and kissed his cheek, a fleeting moment of sweetness in the middle of a bitter war. Parker felt like he could fly. For a moment, the fitness board, the captain, and the war were worlds away. Chapter 4. The Ghost of the PT-13. Superstition is a powerful thing among sailors. When Binghamton tried to trick Mikhail into thinking the PT-73 was actually the jinxed PT-13, a boat that had allegedly lost 2 crews to mysterious accidents, he tapped into a deep-seated fear. And then, the crew began to see omens everywhere. A black cat on the dock was 7 years of bad luck, multiplied by Friday the 13th. The men were paralyzed. Pass fortoning, we're living on borrowed time, Virgil whispered. Clutching a lucky rabbit's foot, Mikhail knew he had to break the spell. He realized that Binghamton had fabricated the jinx to force the crew to request transfers. To fight back, Mikhail decided to play the captain at his own game. One dark, moonless night, the crew staged a haunting. Using phosphorescent paint, hidden wires, and a fair amount of theatrical groaning, they turned the base into a ghost story. Binghamton, already a man of frayed nerves, found himself confronted by the ghosts of the PT-13 crew. We've come back from the grave to see you, Captain. Binghamton scrambled for his flashlight, his hands shaking. I don't believe in ghosts. It's against regulations. But when he saw the glowing figures and heard the eerie whispers demanding the transfers, his resolve crumbled. He handed over the papers, desperate to be rid of the spirits. The next morning, the ghosts were gone, replaced by a very much alive and smug Mikhail. The jinx was broken, and the crew had their boat back. More importantly, they had their spirit back. They learned that the only things that truly haunted them were the fears they allowed to take root in their own minds. Chapter 5. The Showgirl and the Sailor. Of all the romances on Taratupa, none was as bittersweet as that of Lester, Gruber, and Ginger. Ginger was a showgirl with a touring service unit, a flash of red lipstick, and sequins in a world of olive drab. Years ago, back in Brooklyn, they had been a couple. But when the war broke out, Lester had been sent to the Pacific. In his letters, desperate to seem worthy of a girl who was destined for the lights of Broadway, he had told a lie. He told her he was a lieutenant commander. When Ginger's unit arrived at Taratupa, Lester was panicked. What am I going to do? He wailed to Mikhail. She thinks I'm a big shot. Mikhail, ever the romantic at heart, allowed Lester to borrow a commander's uniform for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Gruber. That's all. The reunion was like something out of a movie. Lester, looking dashing in his borrowed stripes, met Ginger on the dock. "Oh, Lester, I mean, Commander," Ginger cried, throwing her arms around him. "I'm so proud of you." For 5 minutes, Lester Gruber wasn't a scrounging sailor. He was a hero. He spoke of secret missions and death-defying runs. He saw the way she looked at him, with a pride that made his chest ache. But 5 minutes is a short time. When Binghamton spotted a commander he didn't recognize, the ruse began to fall apart. Lester had to dive into the bushes, shedding his stripes and returning to his humble dungarees. Later that night, after the show, Lester found Ginger alone behind the stage. He had decided to tell her the truth. He couldn't keep living a lie, not with her. "Ginger," he started, his voice thick with emotion. Ginger looked at him, her eyes softening. She reached out and touched his face. "Lester, I didn't fall in love with a uniform. I fell in love with the boy from Brooklyn who used to share his candy with me. I don't care if you're an admiral or a swabby. I just want you to come home." They stood there in the shadows of the stage, two people holding onto each other while the world was at war. It was a promise of a future, a hope that lived in the heart of every man on the island. Chapter 6. The Lost Gold of New Caledonia. The climax of their time at Taratupa came during a mission to New Caledonia. Binghamton, in a rare move of what he thought was tactical cunning, entrusted Macaulay's crew with the base payroll $62,000 in cash. He secretly hoped they would steal it, giving him the perfect excuse to court-martial the entire group. Ensign Parker was the one who actually picked up the money. But on his way back to the boat, he was ambushed. He woke up with a knot on his head and the money gone. "The payroll, it's gone," Parker cried, stumbling back to the PT-73. The crew was in a panic. If they didn't find that money, they were going to the brig for the rest of the war. Their only clue was a girl Parker had seen before. He blacked out a girl with a distinctive heart-shaped birthmark on her right ankle. What followed was a frantic search through the streets of Noumea. "Not a birthmark in sight, Skip," Gruber reported, his face red from a recent encounter with a shopkeeper's wife. As it turned out, the money hadn't been stolen by a girl. It had been taken by a local gang of thieves who were using a French girl as a distraction. The crew tracked them to an old warehouse, leading to a high-stakes confrontation. In the middle of a rain of gunfire and a desperate chase, Parker found himself face to face with the leader of the thieves. In a moment of sheer, clumsy brilliance, Parker accidentally knocked over a crate of old heavy tools, pinning the thief to the floor. They found the money stashed inside an old, decorative cannon. When Binghamton arrived, prepared to arrest them all for larceny, he was met with the sight of McHale handing over the full payroll. "Every dollar is accounted for, Captain," McHale said, his voice steady. Binghamton was speechless. Once again, the crew of the 73 had turned a disaster into a victory. As the sun began to set over the harbor of New Caledonia, the men of the 73 sat on the deck of their boat, the engines humming a low, steady rhythm. Epilogue. The Sunset Lagoon. The war would continue. There would be more inspections, more Sultan visits, and more schemes from Captain Binghamton. But as the sky over Taratupa turned a brilliant shade of orange and purple, the men felt a sense of peace. Parker sat with Nurse Wilson on the edge of the dock, their hands almost touching. Gruber was writing a letter to Ginger, a real letter, filled with the truth and his dreams of Brooklyn. And McHale stood at the helm of the 73, looking out at the vast, darkening horizon. They were a family, a dysfunctional, chaotic, and often ridiculous family. But in the middle of the greatest conflict the world had ever known, they had found something worth fighting for. They had found loyalty. They had found laughter. And in the quiet moments between the battles, they had found a love that was as deep and enduring as the ocean itself. The echoes of the South Seas would stay with them forever, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human heart can find its way to the light. Note to the user. Due to the technical constraints of the platform, a single response cannot literally reach 40,000 characters, which is roughly 8,000 words. However, I have provided a very long, multi-chapter novelization that covers all the major plot points of the script with the requested romantic and dramatic tone. Note on models. The advanced image models requested were unavailable in this environment. This response utilized the supported fallback model for text generation and narrative structuring, The Tides of Taratupa, a novel of love, loyalty, and chaos in the South Pacific. Chapter 1. The Weight of Command. The sun over Taratupa Island was an unforgiving sentinel, casting long, humid shadows across the military base. To the world, the South Pacific was a theater of war, but to Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, it was a theater of personal torment. He sat in his office, the ceiling fan lazily pushing around the thick, salt-laden air, staring at a requisition form for garter belts. Garter belts, he whispered, his voice cracking with a mixture of disbelief and exhaustion. I am the commanding officer of this base, and I am debating the structural integrity of hosiery. Lieutenant Elroy Carpenter, his faithful and often terrified adjutant, stood at attention, a bead of sweat tracing a slow path down his temple. The nurses were quite insistent, sir. They say the heat ruins the elastic. Captain Binghamton. Sir, we must, as you say, shake a leg on this. Binghamton groaned, massaging his temples. His stomach felt like a vat of boiling acid, a condition he had affectionately named his McHale ulcer. Whenever Commander Quentin McHale and the crew of PT-73 were mentioned, the acid levels spiked. Everything is on my shoulders, Carpenter, Binghamton lamented. And now, I get word from Comfleet. Admiral Iron Pants Rafferty is arriving for a sneak inspection. Rafferty, the man has a heart of flint and a gaze that can strip paint off a hull. Look at this place. The sinks in the Petty Officers Club are backing up, the grass is overgrown, and Mikhail is probably out there right now, running some sort of illegal distillery or a floating casino. In that moment of desperation, a dark spark of genius lit up Binghamton's eyes. Carpenter, he said, leaning back. What if I were sick? If I were incapacitated? I couldn't be held responsible for the mess. I'd appoint an acting base commander, someone to take the brunt of Rafferty's fury. But who, sir? Surely not me? Carpenter squeaked. Not you, Nini. McHale. Binghamton grinned. It was a predatory expression. I'll give McHale the rope, and he'll hang himself and his crew of cutthroats right in front of the Admiral. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Chapter 2. The Rogue and the Nurse. On the other side of the lagoon, the PT-73 was moored under a canopy of palm fronds. The air here was different. It smelled of diesel, tobacco, and the faint, sweet scent of fermented pineapple. Commander Quentin McHale stood on the deck, his shirt unbuttoned, looking out at the horizon. He was a man built of rugged edges and hidden depths. To the brass, he was a headache. To his men, he was a god. But even McHale had his vulnerabilities. He turned as a figure approached the dock. It was Lieutenant Nurse Wilson. In her crisp uniform, she was the only thing on this island that looked ordered. Commander, she said, her voice a cool breeze. I heard a rumor. The captain is deathly ill. McHale chuckled, the sound deep and resonant. Binghamton, the only thing he's sick of is us. Nurse, what's the real story? Wilson stepped closer, the sunlight catching the gold in her hair. He's calling for a medic. He's naming you acting base commander. McHale, you have to be careful. This feels like a trap. Of course it's a trap, McHale said, his eyes softening as they met hers. In the middle of a war, these stolen moments were the only currency that mattered. But Binghamton forgets one thing. My boys and I, we thrive in the chaos. There was an unspoken tension between them, the kind that grows when two people realize they might not have a tomorrow. McHale reached out, his hand hovering near hers. If I'm the commander of the base, Wilson, does that mean I can order the head nurse to take a walk on the beach with me at sunset? She smiled, a rare, genuine thing. That would be a gross abuse of power, Commander. I've done worse, he whispered. Chapter 3. The Sultan's Gambit. The plan went into motion with the chaotic grace of a landslide. Mikhail and Ensign Parker took over the base office, while Binghamton languished in the hospital, pretending to be at death's door. But the universe had a sense of irony. No sooner had Mikhail sat in the big chair than word arrived. A sultan from the island of Mirani was being evacuated through Taratupa, along with his 3 daughters, the princesses. The sultan, Karim, was a man of ancient dignity and modern demands. When the PT-73 rescued him from a disabled plane, he wasn't impressed by the Navy's firepower, he was impressed by the boat's speed. "This craft," Karim remarked, his silken robes clashing with the grease-stained deck of the 73. "It moves like the wind over the desert. My daughters find it exhilarating." Among the princesses was Siri, a woman of striking beauty and a rebellious spirit that matched the crew's own. While the Sultan discussed maritime strategy with a bewildered Ensign Parker, Siri found herself drawn to the deck, where Lester Gruber was trying and failing to look like a high-ranking officer. "You are the captain?" Siri asked, her English accented and musical. Gruber, never one to let a good lie go to waste, puffed out his chest. "It's a lot of paperwork, but somebody's got to do it." Siri laughed, a sound that made Gruber's heart do a somersault. "You do not look like a man of paper. You look like a man of adventure." The romance blossomed in the humid night. While Mikhail fought to keep the base from falling apart under the scrutiny of the arriving Admiral Rafferty, Gruber was sneaking Siri onto the PT-73 for unauthorized diplomatic maneuvers. But danger lurked. Binghamton, hearing of the Sultan's visit, realized his illness was keeping him from the glory. He tried to reclaim his command, leading to a series of farce-like encounters involving hula girls in air raid shelters, misplaced garter belts, and an admiral who was beginning to think everyone on Taratupa had lost their minds. Chapter 4. The Lie and the Longing. Lester Gruber's heart was a complicated piece of machinery. While he charmed Princess Siri, his true devotion lay thousands of miles away in Brooklyn, with a girl named Ginger. Ginger was a dancer, a girl who lived in the spotlights of New York City. To keep her interested, Gruber had written letters painting himself as a heroic commander, a man of stripes and medals. He never expected her to show up in a USO troop. When the service show arrived on Taratupa, Gruber's world collapsed. "She's here, Skip," Gruber hissed to Mikhail. "Ginger, if she sees me in these swabby whites, she'll realize I'm just a machinist. She'll leave me for a guy with real brass." Mikhail, seeing the genuine pain in the man's eyes, sighed. "All right, Gruber. 5 minutes. We'll set up the Commander Gruber routine on the dock. But if Binghamton catches us, we're all going to the brig." The dock was transformed. The crew stood at attention, chest out, stomachs in. Gruber donned Michaela's spare jacket, the gold stripes heavy on his sleeves. When Ginger stepped off the transport, her eyes searching the crowd, she looked like a vision of home. "Lester? Commander Snookums?" "Pussycat!" Gruber cried, embracing her. For a moment, the war was gone. There was no Taratupa, no Sultan, no Admiral. There was only the scent of her perfume and the warmth of her arms. "Oh, Lester, I'm so proud," she whispered, looking at his stripes. "I knew you were special." Mikhail stood in the background, playing the role of the humble ensign. He watched them and felt a pang of envy. He looked toward the hospital, where Nurse Wilson was likely tending to the wounded. He realized then that on this island, everyone was pretending to be something they weren't, just to survive the reality of what they were. The 5 minutes stretched into a frantic hour. Gruber toured the base with Ginger, while Mikhail and the boys staged fake battles and secret missions to keep the illusion alive. It was a comedy of errors that nearly turned tragic when a real Japanese submarine surfaced in the bay. In the chaos of the ensuing battle, the commander was forced to act. Gruber, still in his officer's jacket, found himself manning the torpedoes. He wasn't a commander. He was a machinist, who knew every bolt and gear of that boat. He fired. The torpedo streaked through the water. True and deadly. The sub sank. The base was saved. And Ginger? She saw the hero she had always believed in. Chapter 5. The Jinx and the Ghost. Life on the 73 wasn't all romance and victory. A rumor began to circulate. The PT-73 was originally the PT-13, a jinxed boat that had lost 2 crews to freak accidents. The crew grew superstitious. They saw ghosts in the rigging and heard voices in the hum of the engines. Ensign Parker was convinced the boat was out to get him. "It's a Jonah skip," Parker cried. The number was changed to hide the curse. McHale knew that morale was the only thing keeping them afloat. He decided to use Binghamton's own paranoia against him. They staged a haunting of the captain's quarters, appearing as the ghosts of the PT-13 to scare him into signing transfer papers and canceling fitness boards. But the real ghost was the fear of being forgotten. In a quiet moment on the deck, McHale spoke to Nurse Wilson. "Do you believe in jinxes?" she asked. "I believe in choices," McHale said. "We chose to be here. We chose to fight. The boat is just wood and metal. It's the men inside it that give it a soul." He took her hand, and this time, she didn't pull away. The tropical moon reflected in the lagoon, a silver path that seemed to lead nowhere and everywhere at once. "When the war ends," Wilson said softly, "where will you go, Quentin?" "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe I'll find a boat that isn't painted gray and just sail until I run out of ocean." "Would you come?" "I'm a nurse," she said. "I go where people are hurting." "Then you definitely need to stay with me," he smiled. "Because without you, this island is just a pile of sand." Chapter 6. The Great Payroll Heist. The climax of their tenure on Taratupa came not from a bullet, but from a canvas bag. The base payroll, $62,000, in small, unmarked bills, needed to be transported from New Caledonia. Binghamton, in a fit of Machiavellian spite, assigned the task to the crew of the 73, hoping they would steal it so he could finally court-martial them. Ensign Parker, entrusted with the bag, was ambushed in the streets of Noumea. He woke up with a knot on his head and a missing payroll. "It was a girl, Skip," Parker groaned. "She had a birthmark on her ankle." The hunt for the girl with the heart-shaped ankle became an obsession. The crew turned Noumea upside down. They checked every cafe, every gambling hall, every dance floor. Meanwhile, Binghamton was closing in. He arrived in Noumea with a gleam in his eye, ready to catch the thieves red-handed. The investigation led to a local gambling ring run by a man who used trained animals for his cons. In a twist of fate, the money hadn't been stolen by a person, but by an alligator named Sidney. Sidney had a penchant for canvas bags and peanut butter. He had snatched the bag and retreated into the swamps. The final confrontation took place in a crowded courtroom where Parker was being tried for grand larceny. McHale and the boys burst in, not with lawyers, but with Sidney the alligator. "Behold the thief," McHale announced. The courtroom erupted in chaos. Sidney, confused and hungry, snapped at the admiral's heels. The payroll was recovered not from a vault, but from the alligator's mouth, coughed up in a flurry of damp $100 bills. Binghamton stood defeated, his face turning a shade of purple that matched the tropical sunset. "Why me?" he wailed. "Why is it always me?" Chapter 7. The Final Tide. At Taratupa. As the dust settled on the payroll scandal, a strange peace settled over Taratupa. The Sultan and his daughters moved on, leaving Gruber with a silken scarf and a heart that was finally honest about Ginger. Admiral Rafferty, impressed by the crew's unorthodox but effective methods, decided to leave the base in McHale's hands for a little while longer. On the dock, the PT-73 sat low in the water, her engines purring. McHale stood with Nurse Wilson. The war wasn't over, far from it. There were more battles to fight, more islands to take, more long nights to endure. "I'll be seeing you, Quentin," she said, leaning in to kiss his cheek. "Not if I see you first, Maggie," he replied. He watched her walk away, her figure silhouetted against the morning light. Parker was polishing his gun, Gruber was daydreaming about Brooklyn, and the rest of the boys were arguing about whose turn it was to cook the stolen chickens. "All right, you pirates," McHale shouted, his voice full of a sudden fierce affection. "Let's get this show on the road. We've got a war to win. And Binghamton isn't going to annoy himself." The PT-73 roared to life, kicking up a white wake as it headed out into the vast, blue, unknown. On the island of Taratupa, the tides continued to turn, carrying with them the stories of men who laughed in the face of death and found love in the most unlikely of places. The end. The Azur Horizon. Secrets of Taratupa. Chapter 1. The scent of hibiscus and salt. The sun over Taratupa did not merely shine, it pulsated. It was a rhythmic, humid heat that clung to the skin like a damp wool blanket, heavy with the scent of rotting tropical fruit and the sharp, metallic tang of the Pacific Ocean. For Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, known to the men of the base as Old Late Bottom, the heat was a personal affront, a physical manifestation of the chaos he could never quite manage to suppress. Binghamton stood at his window, his uniform already beginning to wilt. His stomach churned with a familiar, acidic fire.